Flashes coming up at the top of staircase. There's an easy kill for Hyper in a second and a third. Dark Zero in full control. A triple for Grixer, and there's the quad. EUnited.
Great teamwork. Sonics take the lead again. Disrupt the best of the best.
His teammate's gone, and what's this? He's got a Nitro shell as well.
DSM! Tempo Storm absolutely storms through this matchup. Spacestation Gaming are your world champions!
You're live.
Hey, sorry about that. Jackie's mic came turned off, but oh, you're back again, Jackie. Welcome. You scared me, Jackie. Come on. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you guys all to the show that we're going to have today. I'm so excited. You guys know who I am. I'm going to be Veli, and I'm here next to my man, Jesse, and also Jackie. She's supposed to be the guest host, but she's having problems with her mic right now. But Jesse, how excited are you to be doing this and to see professional Rainbow Six gameplay today?
Veli, I'm so pumped. Obviously, like, we're here working with you, Jackie, the rest of the casters. We've got an amazing pool of talent to work with us. We've also got this crazy cool virtual studio, which I think is just awesome. Obviously, you know, with the world and everything going on, we can't all be here in person, but this is still really, really cool. So obviously, we've also got the best teams in North America. This is just really a fantastic league, and I think it's going to be a great time.
I'm so excited, man. But most importantly, let's introduce our casters for today. It's going to be the one and only. You guys at home know who they are. I want to introduce you all to Kix and Intero. Fellas, how do you feel?
Thank you so much, Veli. It's great to be back, honestly. It's been way too
Okay.
long.
Can you just let Veli know?
SG versus EUnited clash to start us off. The defending world champions going up against a team that is looking to make their mark and ascend to the top of the US division standings. They're going to need a good showing here today if EUnited wants to hang with the big dogs.
Hang with the big dogs is something that EUnited is certainly capable of, but the biggest, I mean, SSG coming off of their world championship, I mean, it's a pretty imposing title for EUnited to tackle. They've got what it takes, though, I think, and this is going to be a pretty exciting series because of that. And like Parker, I am really excited to get to cast it.
The last time they met, actually, was play day number 11 in the previous season of Pro League. Obviously, we're under a new banner now. This is the US division. It's a part of the North American League. It's a new term. That things are going to be different this time around, and it was actually a very close match the last two times these teams brawled. They played on playday number 11. It was on Coastline. It was 7-5 for SSG, and they stormed back at the bitter end, if you remember that match. So I expect this best of three to be quite tight.
It certainly will be, but that's enough from us. We'll throw back to the analysts and hear what they have to say.
Kickstart and Taro, thank you guys so much. We are all in great spirits here. And looks like we got the mic issues figured out.
Thank
Live
God.
television, folks. Yeah, I have no idea. I guess I just had to press reload. But all right, guys, we have so much going on today. So let's start talking about the serious format modifications. Veli, maybe you can take that away there and talk about these significant changes.
Okay, so for those of you who are at home, I understand that. Looking at that graph without context, it might be confusing. So let me hold your hand and walk you through this for a little bit. In stage one, we're going to have a double GSL format. The top two teams in each group will move on to form the top four for stage two. That will be Group A. The four unfortunates, the two teams with the losing records in each group, they're going to wind up in Group B. Now, this is where it gets important. Top three from Group A will qualify for the major. Places 4 through 6 will be invited to the regional qualifier where they can have a chance to go to the major. But if you get 8th, you'll go to the gauntlet against a team that will play you for your spot in the US division. But if you lose your first game, don't worry. You can battle back and secure second place in your group by winning your next 2 games. So that's going to be extremely important. And always remember, consistency is key. Jesse, this is the first time Rainbow Six will ever see this. How do you feel
Dude,
about
I
this
love it
format?
so much. We're finally back to BO3s. There's no ties. There's so much of that people were frustrated with the old system. And man, I think this is going to be a really great time because we get to see the team's full potential. I think best of threes are more competitive now compared to best of ones. So I think it's better for the viewers, it's better for the teams, it's better for us. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, a lot of people excited about these changes, and we did have the U.S. Division draw show for the first time last week. Jesse, that was a process that we saw for the first time, so maybe you could give us a quick overview.
For sure. So again, if you were here a week ago, then you already know all this. But for those of you who might have missed it, we had the teams choose who were going to be in their group. So Space Station got to choose from Group A. They ended up choosing Disrupt Gaming. Disrupt Gaming chose EUnited, and EUnited chose Oxygen. And that's how we got Group A. In Group B, we had TSM be the captain of that group. They decided to choose Sonics for their first team. And then the Sonics chose Dark Zero, which was a bit of a curveball for us. And then Dark Zero got to choose the last team, which was Tempo Storm. Following that, we then had the last teams, Oxygen and Tempo Storm, choose who they wanted to play against. So Oxygen decided they wanted to go against the weakest team in their group, which was Disrupt Gaming. And again, we set another curveball where Tempo Storm decided they wanted to play TSM in the opening matchup. So that'll be really exciting. We then had the day draws, and that's how we figured out who's playing today and who's playing on Wednesday.
Thank you so much, Jesse. And let's look at our groups again. Group A, SSG, EUnited, Oxygen, and Disrupt. For Group B, TSM, Dark Zero, Susquehanna Sonics, and Tempo Storm. So, Jesse, let's take a look at the bracket here. It is up now. Can you just give us a quick overview?
Yeah, of course. So today on the A group, we're going to have Space Station Gaming take on EUnited. Then on Wednesday, they'll see Disrupt take on Oxygen. And in Group B, today we've got Tempo Storm versus TSM. And then on Wednesday, we're going to see the Sonics take on Dark Zero. And these are the opening games. So then the rest of the bracket will get filled in from there.
All right, we got a lot of great matches ahead of us, but let's talk about today, folks. Our first match, SSG versus EUnited. All right, let's start with SSG. They are world champions, statistically the best team in North America, extremely strategic and intelligent. How do you think they'll perform today, Veli?
They dominated USN 2019. They won 6 Invitational 2020. But not only that, they also placed first for NA and Pro League Season 11. This team is the best team currently so far in Rainbow Six Siege, and I don't see Space Station Gaming letting loose anytime soon.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. Space Station Gaming are the world champions for a reason. Obviously, everybody knows this squad. If you don't, then I guess you've been living under a rock for the last few months. But they've got some incredible players. Fultz is like their star player, in my mind, at least the Wonder Boy. Last season, he had some ridiculous stats that he was pulling off. I think he's been a huge pickup for them. A little bit newer, a little bit younger of a player, but you know he's nasty on Maestro. He's got like the highest survival rate from last season, a 1.03 KPR, the only player from the last season of Pro League that managed over a 1.0 in North America. So he's really been doing it all. Of course, the rest of the team is right there supporting him and getting the other frags. Rampy is obviously insane. Canadian, the IGL, has been doing a phenomenal job since joining that roster. I mean, it's a stacked lineup to be sure.
And speaking about Fultz, Fultz has been Space Station Gaming's rising star, okay? Before he got onto this team, used to look at Space Station, and a lot of people, and those of you at home, don't act like you've never heard this before. They would always say, hey, if Rampy doesn't go off this round, they don't win. If Bosco doesn't do this, they don't win. But ever since Fultz came into the lineup and dominated that entry role, not only is he just freed up so much space and got a lot of pressure off of Rampy and everyone else on this roster, he's also been the best entry fragger in all of NA. I love to see it. And the second person that had the closest KPR next to him, which was a 1.03, it was his teammate. No, excuse me. Rampy was third place with 0.92, but Merc was 0.94. One was his former teammate, one is his current teammate. Fultz finds a way to always stay with stars.
Yeah, it's
Fultz,
crazy.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
No, I was just going to say that Fultz is undoubtedly an exceptionally strong gunner, very intellectual player who is mechanically skilled, but just echoing what both of you were saying, this is just an extremely strong team. We do want to take a quick look at their opponent, though, EUnited.
I'd say that we're a very young team. We don't have as much experience as the most achieved team in this league.
think our team has like a very like diverse personality group. Everyone likes to joke around, and everyone is like goofy in their own way. Everyone like thinks in their own way.
I've never really had a team where the entire roster is as dedicated as the next, and we're all really just trying to push each other to be better.
The unit and the fact that we stand united is something that is really different from other teams I've had before.
Our team's strengths would be how aggressive we are. Weaknesses at times could be our aggression as well.
Now at this point we're able to play kind of two play styles. We're able to play really, really aggressive when we need to, and we're able to kind of like tone it back a little bit. That was kind of a thing that we struggled with in the first split.
A lot of people are afraid of our play style, how we play, and how we're not afraid of playing too aggressive sometimes.
I think our roster now currently has had the time to fully develop.
We played with Alfama the second split of last season, and then we had about a 3-month off season to play with Alfama and solidify our identity as a team and how we want to play the game and how we want to take approach to games and the system we've like developed.
Now that it's set up, it can also be at our advantage because this identity is new, it's fresh, it's gonna come, and hopefully take some people by surprise.
I think we're the most underrated team in our region, just for the sole fact that we're still kind of new, but we're here to prove them wrong. So.
I like being the underdog. I think that's gonna serve us. It's time to shake this up, and it's time to show everyone that we're a top contender.
And that was a quick look at EUnited. And EUnited, they did not finish well last season. They were 7th out of 8 teams. They did perform well against the top teams, though. So do we think that they can pull this off? Jesse, I'm going to start with you.
I mean, it'll certainly be a challenge for them, right? Spacestation Gaming are the best in the world, and while you're right, EUnited did have some pretty good results against them and the other top teams in the last season of Pro League, right? A 7-5 loss, very close on Coastline in Playday 11, and then a 6-6 tie in Playday 5 on Cafe. So they have a good lineup or record against Space Station for sure, but it's still going to be tough. And I think coming into this one, EUnited are going to be the underdogs. They're not going to be the team that people are expecting to take it home because you're going against the world champions. And sure, Space Station, maybe they looked a little bit rocky in the last season with a lot of 7-5s, but those are still wins, and Space Station gets those wins when they need them. So, yeah.
Now, Jesse, the one thing about EUnited, of course, they're the underdogs, but they're the underdogs. They finished 3-8 last season, okay? And if you look at their stats from the infographic, shout out to siege.gg, by the way, you see that they had a lack of an entry fragger. Their best entry fragger, by the way, was Force. He was 21-20, a positive one. The second best was Yeti at 24-24. This team was not dynamic. They weren't explosive at all, but they brought on the European, my man from France. They got Alfama on the roster, and he is actually the entry fragger this time around. And speaking about him being an entry fragger, Jesse, they changed a lot of roles recently. And I was talking to Yeti, and I said, Yeti, what's changed? He said, you know what? Alfama's going to be the main entry fragger. I'm going to be secondary. And basically, on both sides, we're going to be the duo, man. The lad pad, live and in effect. So you're going to have Yeti roaming with Alfama. You have Forrest. He switched from flex to support. But most importantly, call out. Callout's going to be the IGL. He's going to be the hard breacher. He's going to be their main anchor. So all eyes are going to be on him.
I like that quite a bit, yeah. I think that obviously like Alfama coming into this lineup in the middle of last season was huge for them. He's really been popping off. Like obviously in Europe, he's been good for a long, long time. Now hopping the pond and playing for EUnited, he was a real standout player when he played for them. So I'm really excited about that. I also want to talk about their analyst of Meepy that they recently picked up.
Yeah.
It's another European that they've added to their lineup. And I have no doubt in my mind that him coming onto the team is going to add a lot to what EUnited brings to the table.
I felt like EUnited, we're going to have to expect the unexpected with them. You have a former pro player that's now on your coaching staff, okay? And not only that, but something really big must have happened. Alfama was known as a really good support player in the Europe side of the world. I was losing my mind. But him going to entry fragger and being that Ash main, that's something I've really never seen before. And I'm ready for him to really just blow the roof off this place.
So I'm hearing a lot of excitement from both of you about EUnited, but SSG is SSG. So final verdicts. Gentlemen, who takes this one? Veli.
Jesse. Me first?
Yeah.
Is this even a question, Jackie?
Not
Listen,
really.
Jackie,
in my humble opinion.
I swear I'm not a biased analyst. But if I had to say so, SSG, this is a best of 3 now. I'm going to call a 2-1. I think it's going to be a close game, but my boys, they're the champions. I don't see them falling anytime soon. This is a game they should win.
Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, I love EUnited. I think they're a team with a lot of spirit, and the guys on that team are awesome, and they have potential this season. but they're going against the world champions. Like, their only hope here is to fill their computers, or their opponent's computers full of beans, I would say. They really don't. They don't have a good shot in this matchup for sure.
EUnited has definitely made some improvements, but SSG is just so powerful, so extremely dominant. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And for all of you watching at home, do not forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Coming up, we do have our community poll, and we'll be checking in with our casters. Don't go anywhere.
Here we go now. Here we go now.
We have like 5 of the best players in the world that know and understand everything about the game, have similar mindsets to what our goal is as a team, the way that we play. I think that's what makes us very strong.
Biggest strengths are probably our teamwork and communication.
We literally have like the best team chemistry.
The way that we talk to each other, the way that we communicate with each other, the small talk, and just the way we talk to each other outside of the game.
Everyone contributes in terms of input on strategies or ideas.
We're so close to each other and we don't argue. We could get over like literally any issue together.
I've never been on a team like that's all great friends but also great teammates towards each other, and we all push each other to be better.
Playing online is one of our weaknesses.
We have high expectations and we're definitely like hyped to play LAN. We feel like we thrive a lot more on LAN.
We kind of play a style that performs better on LAN.
Also just our flexibility and how good we are at adapting.
Our team's mindset coming into this league, coming off of winning SI 2020, is just to stay at the top.
We're not going to stop just because we won Invite. We want to win more.
We want to win. Nothing changed. Obviously, I think the way other teams look at us has changed.
Everyone in the game is going to be trying to beat us now because everybody really wants to beat us for obvious reasons. And I think we just really focus on playing our game and sticking to what we know.
We're still full speed ahead, want to keep our spot at the top. We want to be the best. We want to show everyone that we're the best, and we're going to put in the work to do so.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Thank you for bearing with us here. We're just about ready, almost ready. We still have a couple more steps to go, but we're only a short period of time away from our very first of this matchup. And reminder that it's a best of 3. And my goodness, Michael, it is nice to have best of 3s back.
Yeah, it is a superior format, I think, for competition. You're going to get a more conclusive results out of the match. And because of that, it's going to change a few things about how we lead into the match and the overall match experience. This is going to be a much longer competition, of course, to see who is truly deserving of being in the winning position. We're going to have a different map ban phase, for example. We'll do the ban, pick, ban, decider, instead of your typical ban until you have just one.
Now, obviously, every team that's going to be competing in the North American League and those in the US division as well have been around long enough to have quite a robust map pool. EUnited, while still being a newer team than Space Station, should have no problem being able to pick out 3, 4, maybe even 5 maps that they're decently comfortable on. So I'm very interested to see, especially with Oregon being added into the mix. We don't really have any visibility on a map like Oregon. Ditto a map like Theme Park, which was played only a small handful of times after being added to the map pool just a couple months back, if you really think about it. So there's some unpredictability here. I'm curious to see where we go. SSG's got a couple maps that they're really, really strong on, and I would expect EUnited to go for those as targeted bans. Or maybe do you think that EUnited might decide, to lay into the hubris and maybe take SSG to one of their better maps?
Well, the conventional wisdom is that the typical underdog is going to go for what is considered to be the less played map. And as you mentioned, Parker, in this case, that would be Oregon. And now that would be interesting for all of us. I think we all kind of want to see Oregon get played. We got to see it in the European League earlier, Navi versus Secret. But are we going to see it here today is the real question for the North American League, or the US division specifically. And while that holds true as being like your standard line of logic, I don't know if EUnited necessarily needs to lean into that in order to get a win here. I'd say that certainly most people are going to be expecting SSG to win here, especially on their more comfortable maps, but there's a possibility that EUnited is going to be able to go back, review, and construct some kind of strategy to counterplay Space Station, especially on, as I said, their more familiar maps.
Yeah, and when you have a team like SSG, who are obviously going to extol the virtues of a team as good as SSG, right now they're sitting atop Siege GG's rankings for the best team in all of professional Rainbow Six. Siege GG came out with a list, I believe it was this morning, that showed that their ranking criteria is changing, but Space Station is still the undisputed number 1. Obviously, you have TSM and Dark Zero in the top 5 as well. So NA is showing up quite strong. But when you look at a team like Space Station, they're going to be comfortable on every single map. Maybe not so much Oregon, just because it is quite new, but we saw that Space Station didn't really have any fear when it came to going to Theme Park. They played it in the second half of our very last season of Pro League, season number 11, and they showed quite a good proficiency on it when you really consider that it was still a new map that teams were learning. Now, a team like EUnited, as was touched upon by Veli, they picked up Meepy to help be an analyst right behind Bagel on the squad. Now, I would be hard-pressed to find somebody who has as strategic a mind as Meepy does when it comes to this game. And I honestly think that he could be the secret weapon for EU's prep. Now, when you play inside of the server, it's going to be totally different than what you studied, but you can't help but think that Meepy gives a massive advantage to EUnited that they didn't have before. Is it enough to contend with SSG's talent on their coaching side of thing? I don't know, but I do think that he's definitely going to give EU a big boost when it comes to the preparation department.
I think that preparation is something that EUnited has always had in spades, or at least in recent times. It's something that has always, I think, shined through in their gameplay. You see the leadership involved in the back end for EUnited, and even actually in their active lineup with Callout. You know, Callout's a player that gets a lot of critique for his performance in game, but we've heard from the players on EUnited that he, as an individual, is such an important part of that team, an important component to contributing to the overall win through other things he does for the team. And it's not just, the analytical side. On the actual stats side, Alfalma, who was brought onto EUnited a while back, transferred over from Europe, a lot of people were wondering, is Alfalma really the play? Is he going to be able to elevate this team? And in the last season of Pro League, way back when, Alfalma had an absolutely ridiculously standout performance. He was not only the top performer statistically for his team, but he was in the top 10 for North America in the season overall. And that's considering that as a team, they didn't really have the best season in season 11. So, I think that there's a lot to be said about the back end. There's a lot to be said about definitely Meepy being brought on and the leadership that Callout's going to be bringing to this roster. But there's also something to be said about the fragger potential that EUnited also brings to bear.
Yeah, and the thing with EUnited is, they were a team that finished second last in North America last season.
Yeah.
They were tied with Luminosity, only 12 points, 3 points ahead of dead last, which is the difference literally between a win and a loss. That's how close it was to EUnited being statistically the worst team in the region. Now, I think that they had opportunity to gel, and it's gotten better. Alfalma seems to be the secret weapon, and the team in particular has a higher ceiling now, especially with the addition of Meepy and allowing that roster, now that it's fully formed, to really find their footing than I think they did at the end of the previous season. But the question that we have to pose to you and everybody that's watching is, who do you think is going to get the most kills between these two teams? Well, that's going to be the topic of our community vote today. Go on over, make sure that you vote, because we want to know your input. Who is going to get the most kills out of everybody through the first match of the day? Will it be Space Station or EUnited? It's not about who wins. It's who gets the most kills. And down below, you'll see our socials. Feel free to go to either of them. Give us a follow. R6 Esports NA is where you're going to be following the polls. Make sure you follow them for all information. With that said, we've got the map veto ready for you, so we can bring it up on your screen just so you know that we're almost ready to get into our first matchup here for the US division. And any predictions as to the maps that we will and won't see today, Michael?
Well, you brought it up earlier. I don't think that Oregon is going to be let through in the ban phase by SSG, just because it's that map, it's that unknown. And again, conventional wisdom suggests that just that is going to happen. There goes Oregon. SSG will get rid of it. Because you don't want to let the perceived underdog take you to a map you are less refined on if you're SSG. Moving through the rest of this ban phase, it looks like it's going to be Theme Park first, Clubhouse second, so we know where we're going to be playing. Again, the way the ban phase works out is different than usual. It's ban, pick, ban, decider. So we will find out what our final map is going to be at the end, and it looks like it will be Coastline, as it is the only map left in the ban or in the pool that has not been banned or picked. There you go. We know where we are going to end up if we get to map number 3, but we'll be starting on Theme Park of all maps. So no matter what, SSG has to be taken to a map that some might say they're less comfortable on, as it is relatively new, similar to Oregon.
And that's it. We're ready to go into the game. So let's get things started here on Theme Park. What was at one point the newest addition to the map pool, but has since been one-upped by Oregon. Funny enough, EUnited, no footage on them officially playing Theme Park when it comes to Pro League or professional play. The last season of Pro League, there was no Theme Park gameplay from EUnited. The same cannot be said of Space Station. So SSG is going to be coming into this having played this in a real competitive setting, which makes a huge difference over scrims. At the same time, EUnited now has footage on SSG. The meta may have changed a little bit, and this ban right here in particular onto Jaeger is huge. And I can't imagine that happening without Wamai as an operator. This could really shake things up, coupled with the Maverick and the Thermite bans as well.
So there's a couple layers here coming out of the ban phase, and they're already making it interesting. As Parker alluded to, the Maverick and Thermite ban are both quite large in their influence on the round. Something key to keep in mind, though, is that Thatcher isn't banned. He will be an absolutely essential attacking operator every single one of these rounds. You're going to want to get through those walls. Now, normally when a Thatcher and Maverick are banned, for example, you'll get rid of the batteries or the jammers or what have you by nading over walls. And you can do that on many of the sites in this map. And the Jaeger would actually play into that, again, if not for the Wamai and if not for Thatcher's existence. But interestingly, Canadian is going to 6-pick off of the Wamai. There is no anti-nade here on SSG, and they're bringing a Maestro and a Castle. Lots of things that are susceptible to grenades, to Ash charges, to Zofia lifelines, what have you. This is a really interesting kind of setup in terms of the operators, and we haven't even gotten the gunfight started.
Now, it's no real surprise that we're going to see an armory and throne room be the very first site to be defended. It's typically considered to be the most defendable, but that was also when Goyo was very strongly in the meta. One thing that we need to keep an eye on in terms of pro play is the last glimpse that we had of top-level Rainbow Six Siege. We had Buck as a different operator. We had Mozzie as a different operator. Jaeger as a different operator. Goyo as a different operator. Ying and Kaid to a certain extent with Kaid just because of the TCSG changes. The meta is very different. Mozzie doesn't have access to that super shorty anymore, which means that you're going to have that site reconstruction be entirely in somebody else's hands. And it's no surprise to see the double SAS operator combo of Space Station having both the mute and the smoke. So things are going to be very different here. It's definitely a utility soak style of defense. And the Amaru, a risky play, tries to immediately take a gunfight, as Amaru does, another operator that's been changed. And, well, he's going to have his fate met at the hands of Canadian.
So that's Ofalma. That's your primary fragger on EUnited gone. And a G8, no less, which has seen itself evolve to be one of the most formidable weapons in this game. So that's a big loss there for EUnited. A lot of control that they could have established on the top floor, now going to take even more work, and we've already seen a minute expended by the attack here. Call out droning in Forest up to the top floor. Rampy is playing by Office. Grixer also wants to get control of, well, control. Capcan, no, not Capcan, Mute Jammers actually on the doorway. A little bit of a deceptive positioning there, but that's going to be a Mute Jammer dispatch, which will allow for droning of initiation and control, which is crucial in clearing out this top floor. Now, SSG is doing their best to hold on to the top, and they're doing a pretty good job. They've managed to waste half the round, and they've also got, you know, one kill on the board. But it looks like EUnited are still slotted to take it. It's just going to, well, be a little bit more effort than they were expecting. But finally, the control comes out. One phone call used up, one life lost, but at least some damage done, and possibly Rampy cut off, as he is stuck upstairs, trying to retreat through the drop down. Actually, no, continuing to challenge. This is very dangerous for Rampy, but he doesn't seem to care.
He'll get out of there very quickly, as there goes another logic bomb, and the barricade actually in his way. He'll tear through that, and he'll get off scot-free. Will somebody be in hot pursuit? It sounds like there might be both Grixer and Callout on his heels, but they know they don't have an abundance of time. Only a minute or so to go. And if you look at the lineups of the defenders, they've still got some utility, but not a lot of explosives to take care of everything that's being brought from SSG. So a bit of a mix match, and it seems like more of just an aggressive site take, kill them all style from EUnited. Will it work? Well, there goes a Candela. In bursts the Ying, but no damage has been done. Canadians still very weak from the earlier skirmish, but that's about it, as now you're going to see Thinking Nade challenge, shotgun in hand. A single blast will drop most of the members of EUnited. Playing inside of Initiation, he'll head out, but he's very exposed from the back. Out goes the Ying, down goes Grixer. Could he be traded out? No, Thinking Nade will just continue. Nobody's challenging him. A kill for Callout and Yeti in on the fun. Makes it even with 5 seconds to go, but EUnited will have to burst through the door. They have limited time. Foltz with his gun out, Yeti as well. But it's just simply the clock that will run down, and Space Station will hold out on this war of attrition on the very first round of the very first map here in the US division.
And of course, I think most of you are aware, the key to that round was Alfalma dying in the first few seconds of the round, trying to Amaru into the break room, ending up losing his life. That actually put the attacking team back, I'd say a solid 30 to 40 seconds. Just about. It looked like it was pretty rough for United to clear the top floor right after that. And as a result, SSG, well, they just had to wait out the round. And well, they did that very well. After it was read that, hey, we can just chill in the site, it's exactly what SSG did. Good awareness on their part. There's one thing that you brought up earlier, Parker, was the way that the meta is going to be different than what we had in the past. And I want to touch on that a little bit more, because not only do we have a situation where we've had a long break between competitive, but we also have a situation where we've had a long break without our typical season finals. Normally at every season final or at every major or what have you, international competition, metas are intertwined. Europe and LATAM and APAC and North America, they all share notes. They try to learn from each other. And we've got a situation now where it's been a little over 2 months, I want to say, and all these operators have changed, new updates out, all this new stuff, and people haven't been sharing notes because they hadn't had the opportunity at that LAN like they normally do. So you've got very different pictures in the NAL and the EUL going on here, and I'm already starting to notice some differences kind of shine through here in some of the small things that are being done by SSG or by United. And it's interesting to monitor those changes as we just get started in the US division.
As you pointed out, not just Alfama's early death setting them back, but the inability to really deal with the mute jammers, the castle barricades, the evil eyes, etc.
It's like another clear here from Cash. United doing their best to apply some pressure. This time it is a top floor bomb site, so there's a lot more resistance that SSG are going to be putting up upstairs. Waiting room, a key holding position for Thinking Nade. He's brought a Goyo to assist that hold.
It's going to be an entire E-stick here. I really like that United has decided to bring more explosives and can deal with this a little bit, I think, easier. SSG is just going to sit and wait, and they've lost that beachhead that was established over on the east side of the second floor where Grixer's holding out. Callout's going to be the first one in as he just does some light drone work. And you can see they're all stacked up. Clear passage as SSG's mute jammer's not positioned over towards the bathroom. EUnited's actually made pretty quick work to get in the building and not get challenged by Space Station. And they've got just a little over a minute left to play with.
That's a lot more time than they had in the past. And there goes Grixer in for the knife. Bosco goes down. Those Candelas really working for EUnited. Meanwhile, Forrest is going to add to the tally. Down goes Foltz, one of the most hyped up attacker, or rather fraggers in this match. No kills for him in this round. EUnited looking strong as opposed to the last round. And they're going to continue their push towards the site. They have to deal with one player, though, over by Control. That's very dangerous. I think that's Thinking Nade, who's managed to rotate to Control, and Canadian's going to get Alfalma. A big kill for him as he extends out of the bomb site.
On it, they should be able to win this trade out, as there goes a Nitro Cell from Canadian, a dying breath maybe of SSG's defense, but the gasp obviously doesn't work. And EUnited now know that there's one less explosive on the board, but oh my, Rampy smokes Grixer, another does significant damage, and then challenges onto the Zofia, but Forest is just better now. Inside of the site in Daycare holding position, it's Thinking Nade in a 1v3. Does he spy anyone? Down goes Forest. Very exposed. There's the diffuser down, and Spacestation takes the second round off a monstrous play. Goodness gracious. EUnited, you just can't do it, can you? That's tough on timing, but hey, SSG now up 2-0. Anywho, welcome back to us. Thank you so much. We're going to be adorning your screen as we just we take care of some things here on the tech end. Now, that final second clutch, where do you fall apart there if you're EUnited? You saw the abundance of drones that they had out. Did they all just get shot? Did they all get snagged by mute jammers? There was a nomad on the board. What was the issue here with EUnited not understanding that this late flank was about to happen?
I'm not entirely sure what happened with the coordination of EUnited, but one thing I can say for certain, Parker, is that that's 2 rounds in a row that EUnited have failed to drone out all of the roamers on SSG and have really paid the price as a result. They need to step up when it comes to their information game on attack and clearing out, understanding what they've got control of, what they don't have control of, and what they need to confront. Because it has been a reoccurring issue now for 2 rounds, as I said, in a row. It's kind of shocking. Obviously, it has to do with the mute that has been prevalent on Space Station, but that's really not a big enough excuse. There are solutions to that problem. You really have to drone out every nook and cranny to make sure you're not dealing with those late flanks.
EUnited's going to run with something that they've seen before. It's the exact same lineup as last time. How long do you think that this Ying experiment is going to work? Because through 2 rounds, I don't necessarily know if we can pinpoint the real, I guess, prowess of Ying as an operator. I mean, obviously she's very strong right now. She's great at clearing out utility. The Jaeger ban is very interesting. Wamai is going to be brought, I would say, probably every round. I'd be very surprised if he's absent moving forward. And this is now 2 rounds in a row where we've seen him be played by Bosco. So Grixer's operator is going to be excellent at being able to clear out those magnets. But is there another alternative here for EUnited? Also, it is theme park defense. So going up so far 2-0 for Space Station, you don't really need to sweat if you're EU. You don't need to hit the panic button. Maybe Ying will work. Maybe you just need to settle in.
Yeah, I mean, the one kill that Grixer does have was as a result of those Candelas. He actually managed to get the knife kill too for extra added sauce there. But it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't a round-winning kill. It was a roam clear. And yeah, there are certainly other options. I'd say in this situation, EUnited, they don't need to stress too much. Like you said, Theme Park is conventionally a defender-sided map. And everything's working okay for EUnited so far. That last round especially was pretty darn close. They easily could have taken it themselves. They just made a few minor mistakes. And I don't know if it has to do with their operator selection. So in this round, it looks like control has been established on the east side of the top floor for EUnited. So they've got their baseline, they've got their platform for the attack. They're going to try and open up the wall to clear out the top floor. It is a lab defense right now. SSG are just roaming upstairs to try and waste time because they've realized how important the time strategy on their own clear. So SSG just lingering and saying, yeah, we can take this time. Thanks very much.
They're not bringing that. Anyway, it's just action happening all over the place. Rampy and Canadian are both down. Callout gets traded out too. And then silence. 35 seconds just to wait. Can EUnited be able to do this? Well, they've still got some utility as well. They've got the Zofia, they've got the Ying on the board. And there goes the Candles off. Bosco totally blinded. Space Station might be on their back heels right now as Yeti and Grix are both by the door ready to head in. An explosive goes out. The Nitro Cell does not connect. More explosives above. Thinking Nade. One for Foltz and Alfama's there as EUnited's just going to break on in. You'll need another miracle, SSG. Bosco in hand. He takes down one. 2 more to go. Diffuser successful, but there will be no miracle this time. The luck runs out. Space Station managed to take the first 2 rounds, but then EUnited strikes back.
There, and finally, EUnited put something on the board. They put themselves up to that 1 round, and as mentioned earlier, this is a map that can kind of lean towards the defense. So getting 1, maybe 2 rounds in the first half is an all right place to be if you're EUnited. SSG, on the other hand, still in a good spot. They've determined that, well, maybe Lab isn't the play. The roam clear there for EUnited was big. It wasn't as efficient as it could have been, but it worked, and that's all that really matters in the end. EUnited's ability to collapse onto the site as a unit was also crucial in the outcome of the round, and Ying seemed to play somewhat of a part in that. So that's pretty awesome to see. EUnited forging their own path with this operator selection, and it working out well, at least in 1 round. SSG will be going back to Armory, and so we'll see how they can manage to lock up this site, or if they're able to lock up this site a second time. It is, as stated earlier, I'd say probably like the most comfortable bomb site for the majority of teams, but not necessarily one that you have to play every single round. When it comes to theme park, you've really got a lot of options. You can go to any of these bomb sites and you can make a viable strategy happen. A lot of it has to do with your top floor performance, and SSG round and round again are continuing to prove themselves formidable on this top floor. That's what's allowing them the success that they've had so far.
All right, well, we've got a similar lineup and all familiar now for SSG. Once again, it's going to be this utility dump or utility soak style of defense. And I don't know if you touched on this in the very first round. The FMG being brought by Bosco is just because it's a good gun, I guess?
I mean, they've got the shotgun on Thinking. They've got the shotgun on Ramping, I guess. And they even have one on Foltz. I'm assuming that or actually they have 4, I think. I'm assuming they just didn't think they needed a 5th.
I'm trying to figure it out because Lycan is on record before saying, you know, you can never have too many shotguns on defense, and
they have so many though.
They've got like pretty much all of them right now outside of the shotgun, you know, primaries, but they will lose one of them, and that's going to be the Mira shotgun in the side arm as Canadian falls, and EUnited gets another opening pick. I will say this, the aggression that we're seeing from EU has been extremely sharp. They've been able to deal quite a big amount of damage to Space Station as Rampy fires back. UMP on the stairs, say goodbye to Yeti. And they've evened the odds, essentially. Now, for Canadian, I know that he plays more of a support-oriented operator lineup, but Yeti is oftentimes one of the most formidable fraggers on EUnited. Terrible timing from Alfama as Thinking Nade's able to spray down. Grixer misses all of his shots. No, but he makes up for it on the second encounter. 3-3, and immediately Grixer will go on to drone. The calm before the storm. Once again, 1 minute. And this has been the story of Theme Park so far, Michael, is that there's lots of brisk mid-round action, and then usually there's a lull. Takes about 30 seconds before an all-out slugfest in the final 20 seconds as both teams recalibrate.
Something that's crucial here is that Callout is still alive, which means he'll be able to open up not only the drop-down, but potentially some of the other walls on this bomb site when it comes to that final execution. Grixer and Force droning out the bomb site. They'll spot Foltz over by Throne and Bosco in the A bomb site, as well as potentially Rampy, but he might have been around the corner. Like, it's going to be 2 identified for EUnited. That'll give them some information to work with when they execute onto the bomb site. Mute Jammer done away with, which means Callout can now open up a rotation through the yellow wall, but look at the clock. Time is ticking away, which means Forrest is going to try and cut off rotation by the Dragon Door. Gas canisters in play here for Bosco. That's huge, and he's got a shield to repel this attack through the wall. Gas canisters are going to make this really dangerous for the attack. Ying is all the way in. He'll get Bosco a big kill, goes for the second, and misses out on it. Rampy and Fultz with the great coverage, and SSG will take another round, their third total.
This is just what you see when there's very limited denial and a lot of utility that needs to be taken care of on Space Station's side of things. It's going to take you a long period of time to be able to cut through the mute jammers, to be able to cut through any castle barricades, mirror windows. And then even if you're not able to cut through them and you just decide to go for broke, which is I think what EUnited did, you're going in blind. We see that the play from EUnited is to take control of the bottom of stairs, get the back wall leading into the bomb site, and push on in. That's very easy for the defense to hold because with the Thermite and the Maverick bands on the board, you're going to have to go with Hibana, whose openings are not going to be that large. Well, a toxic canister from smoke is perfect to cut them out and choke them as they try to come on in. Any nitro cells will blow them sky high. So SSG are very aware of this. And while it may seem, and we touched upon it last round, the mid-round being so crucial for Space Station, they are very well equipped and very aware of how to deal with the final 30 to 40 seconds, knowing that the bottlenecks that EU will have to filter through are going to be very well protected by the remaining anchors that SSG has.
And that's really the key, isn't it? It's the remaining anchors. The roamers have turned into anchors the majority of these rounds, and that's the problem that EUnited are currently faced with. It's their inability to clamp down on the roamers and deny them turning into anchors later in the round. In particular, Rampy in that last round, he was playing on Castle. He had a really good round, managed to get one kill by Yellow Stairs, one he shouldn't have been allowed to get. He won a gunfight versus Yeti, one that Yeti had the advantage in. Great pre-fire from Rampy, great awareness from him. And then he made it back to the site to get 2 more kills because he, as a Castle, no less, was allowed to transition from getting a kill on Roam to getting back to the site safe. And that kill right there from EUnited is a stark contrast from what we've been seeing from EUnited the majority of these rounds. That's a really big kill, managing to get one of those roamers that I was just talking about, and that should put them in a much more comfortable position when they go for that site execution. Now, a reminder, Lab is the one site that SSG have not looked as good on so far through this match. It's the only site that they've lost on, in fact. So there is a strong possibility that EUnited will be able to pick up their second round here and now. It's not a shoo-in. It's not a guarantee. It's just at least somewhat more comfortable for EUnited.
And the thing is that Space Station looked very out of character on that early part of this round because they were so late into their defense. They were still setting up when there was over 35 seconds into live action. We saw it from the perspective of Thinking Nade, was it, who was down inside of the old bomb site that they just played on inside of Armory. And Canadian just ultimately got pinched by an aggressive play from EUnited to head on in, you know, through barrels or through maintenance rather, and then push towards the other side of the map. So when you look at the way that EUnited took this, they droned very quickly, assessed that they could have a lot of map control if they went in together. That's where Alfama went, along with Yeti in tow, and they were rewarded with a pick on it. Now, all you need to do is start to pick away at what's above. And Space Station is very quickly losing this foothold inside of the bomb site. You pointed it out correctly. Lab did not go in their favor last time we saw it played, which was just 2 rounds ago. And it was relying on Bosco to essentially be a miracle worker with Wamai. Space Station's changed it up a little bit. And by taking out Yeti, they're at least in a position where they've got even numbers through the final 40 seconds. But Thinking Nade's going to get absolutely smoked by Callout. That's a beautiful shot from the Hibana above. Full coverage, able to patrol the openings that have been created. And this will essentially pin down the remaining members of Space Station. Things could get really tricky. But if you take a look, Rampy and Bosco are well off site here. The only one to be able to hold off is Fultz, and he's going to get knocked around by an air jab, then blinded, but very shrewdly he activates his ability. Warden able to see through all of this, and the calamity that's going on above him won't be too much, but oh my, there are springs in EUnited. Bosco in a 1v3. He'll find one, but he's stopped by a castle barricade, soft wall to his left. If he needs to, he can play off of these pings, but very smartly, EUnited have moved over towards the bathroom, and they'll get the diffuser down. Tracers through the wall as Bosco will just shrug off the play. He's got a castle barricade that's keeping him from being able to head on in. And because he chose that bulletproof, he can't break down that barricade with ease. They'll know that he's coming from a mile away. This should be a very easy hold for EUnited, despite Grixer's low HP. They'll continue to fire away. Bosco with one shot. He just needs to know where Callout is in a heads-up gunfight. These two gentlemen will be fighting for supremacy. Will Space Station take the lead? Bosco peeks around the corner. No, my goodness! How does he make that work? But he's going to have to find the diffuser. He's got 7 seconds to do it. He'll get on it. He'll have plenty of time. Good Lord, Space Station. And Bosco, well, he'll do it yet again.
Bosco, amazing clutch there, and you just don't think it's possible. You correctly pointed it out, Parker. The choice for the camera, the bulletproof camera, instead of the impacts, completely limited the options that Bosco had in that round. He was in a corner. He was controlled. A 2v1 with only one option for rotation within the time frame for Bosco, and he just wins those. How does he do it? That is against an all odds, really, and certainly a round that EUnited should have locked out. Many people would go into this saying that something EUnited has going for them is their mechanical skill and their well-practiced discipline, their ability to mitigate aggression while also putting it out at the right time. And I would argue in that round in particular, they handled that about as poorly as they could have. They gave every opportunity to Bosco, and he seized upon it.
The crazy part is there was only one entry, really, for Bosco to play off of. How does Callout not see that? The small rotate that was in the wall leading into the drug lab portion of the bomb site. I'm very surprised by that one. But what we don't want to glaze over is this has been, of 5 rounds, 3 rounds where a impossible clutch from Space Station has allowed them to win the round. 3 rounds where clutches from SSG in the final seconds won them it. And almost a 4th when you saw Bosco in the similar situation on the same bomb site, but as Wamai in round number 3. This is totally unsustainable. And yet Space Station are playing with so much moxie and so much confidence right now, and playing so smartly that you're able to pull this stuff off and make it work. To me, this is a telltale sign for EUnited that they are still learning. They don't exactly have comms down. They still don't have the footing that they need. And Space Station just showing that as veterans, they can get away with this kind of stuff. EUnited are at their best when they play unpredictable and aggressive. It's hard to do that when you're in a post plant. And we've seen it firsthand now, 3 rounds out of the 5.
Pretty impressive performance from Space Station so far. You really got to hand it to them. And Bosco in particular. I mean, just that clutch. Wow. For those of you wondering, his sensitivity is 10, 10, 30 at 500 DPI. Grixer with the rush in, though. Here comes the Candelas. He's trying to apply pressure to the catwalk. He's going to get a little bit of damage onto Canadian, but ultimately, that's a whiff. He could have gotten a kill, and he didn't. Candela into the site, but he's going to drone after. Someone should be droning for him. He'll get off the drone and get rampy. So that's a great reaction, but thinking Nate is going to get Alfalma elsewhere on the map, putting more pressure onto these anchors. There's the drone from Grixer. Pressure applied to the window. Grixer's stuck in a corner. Candelas could be really useful here, and here they come. Question is, will Fultz be truly blind? Grixer goes for the rush, and he'll lose the fight. Oh no! But the follow-up works out for Yeti. Bosco, though, is there for his own follow-up, and SSG maintain control of the kill feed. Forrest and Callout now in desperate position. They've got some site control, but it's really not enough to do anything with. Bad timing there from Forrest, and he lets another opportunity slip away. SSG now aware of his position, and this gets more and more desperate for EUnited.
Forrest had to reload there. He was gambling a kill on 7 bullets. On the R4C, that's very possible, but it's still something where you might want to take a bit of a breather and allow somebody to come to your aid. It appears that Callout has been the one that's been called in to help, but EUnited on their very final attack are in significant trouble right now. They don't seem to have much at their disposal in terms of gadgetry, and neither of them are taking any time on drone. They could be totally blind and without intel here. Forrest has one drone up somewhere, but we don't know where, and whether it's under the effects of a mute jammer. So, indeed, they're totally blind, and Forrest gets swung on by Canadian, leaving Callout in a hopeless and helpless situation. He finds Canadian, but the tracers will give away the position of one other member of SSG. They look to have retreated out of the bomb site, leaving Callout with full control, and he's got the diffuser, but he knows that it's futile to try to get the plant down. Long range, that Type 89 will try to do some damage, but both he and Thinking Nade will be a little bit worse for wear. using the bomb chassis as some protection. It's a bait from Callout, and Thinking Nate takes it, but Bosco has the trade-off with the MPX in hand. Space Station emerges from the first half of map number 1, up an impressive 5-1.
Callout must have been hungry after that round that he let slip away by Lab. But once again, it's the same man that did it to him on Lab to do it to him on Daycare. Bosco with the 1v1. And what a half from Space Station Gaming. We transition to the second, 5-1 favor Space Station. They look about as good as they possibly could. And that's just another round to add to the tally that you were mentioning earlier, Parker. That round count of how many rounds can EU push it towards the end and just barely not win it out. Such a nice try from Callout and EUnited as a whole, really. But some major mistakes. I mean, the push into the site, I love the aggression from EUnited. But they are starting to pump the brakes a little bit too much when you compare to previous rounds. Why is Grixer droning himself into Daycare? It makes no sense. He really shouldn't be the one all the way in arcade, droning himself in, using his Candelas to cover his droning. Ultimately, that's why he lost the fight to the Maestro, because he didn't have another Candela to throw into the corner, and he pushed too late because he had to drone for himself. And then what is happening with your Ashe, who's deep in sight? Why is that timing so off for EUnited, where there was opportunities abound and none seized upon? Well, at least EUnited gets to go onto defense now, where they will have a slight advantage in that they get to let SSG come to them.
I mean, we talked about the, drone economy is something that comes up quite often, but I mean, we saw it. We saw it clear as day in that particular instance. They had no information. Callout goes for a run out now and gets back inside, takes no damage. But that's 15 seconds that he was able to just play with. And I mean, hey, he's actually at a pretty hot hand today for EUnited and is performing, I would say, a little bit better than we anticipate. So, or at least if previous season stats are anything to look at. Callout has been emboldened, whether it be changes to EUnited or whether it be changes to coaching and the way that he's able to play, I'm not sure. But yeah, the curious thing for me, if you look back on the stats now as we've transitioned and EUnited is on defense, the 6 attacking rounds that EUnited have, they won the engagements at the start of each round over SSG. They walked away with far more first bloods than we saw from Space Station. And that should inspire some confidence, and yet it didn't.
Look at Bosco's drone. He has clear line of sight onto Alfalma playing at the top of those stairs. If anyone by yellow stairs is in a position to pounce, Alfalma is going to face himself a really hard gunfight with information being against him. But it looks like he'll drop. Well, it's not going to be as crucial. That's a good clear of the ADS, or at least a check for what would be an ADS if Jaeger weren't banned. Rather, a magnet to then later destroy the shield inside of waiting room. False gets it done. He'll drone out as a follow-up. Half the round expired, and there's still roamers by initiation, and even by cash bathroom. Alfalma trying to assist at the top of yellow stairs. These angles that EUnited have set up are seemingly going to be hard held by the defense, and Space Station will have to jump over that hurdle when they get to it. But they also might have some presence over by Arcade. I'm not sure if I saw that right. There's some dangerous flank potential here for SSG, considering how heavy EUnited is on the roam.
Have the magnets been taken care of? That's the real question, as another one gets tossed out by Yeti, knowing that it's going to get dire for Space Station relatively soon. SSG have very slowly taken up space to get to the exterior of the bomb site inside of Bunk, but haven't really made any waves other than that. They had maybe an opportunity to pounce on Alfalma. There goes the shield, and a great play from Rampy to start things off. Space Station will get the opening pick, but look at the limited amount of time left. Could it be enough? Because all EUnited needs to do is sit back and wait and let Space Station walk right into their waiting arms. But no, another scalp for Space Station as down goes Alfalma, and things troubling for EUnited. This could be match point if Space Station can continue to do some major damage, but they'll have to hustle up. 10 seconds left. Bolts and Rampy heading on in from the same direction. Callout takes one down. 2-piece for Callout. Looking for a third. A huge play from him inside of Daycare. And he's babysitting those bomb sites right now with Bosco unable to clutch it out. EUnited will once again win on time, just as Space Station did on their defense. A good start to what will be a long slog to catch up to Space Station as EUnited take round number 7.
Oh, Parker, I love it. Babysitting, daycare, perfect. It's you know, it's been a while since we've been back in the seats together, but it's great to be here with you, Parker.
I missed you, Michael.
Miss you too, buddy. All right, so what a round there. Many interesting things going on. Now, leading into that round, going into the late game, my first thoughts were, okay, SSG, Rampy in particular, they're picking up the gunfights. They're hitting the shots, as Parker said, collecting the scalps. And it looked like the mistake from EUnited was opening up too many angles, because that's what they did. They opened up as many angles as they could. Many of the walls that you'd expect to be fully reinforced were in fact half reinforced, kill holes opened up in, and control lines established from EUnited. They lost those fights. It was looking like it was all EUnited, and then suddenly, or rather all SSG, pardon me, and then suddenly, no. It's the wins all from EUnited to pick up the kills. I believe it was Grixer in particular who was getting those from Black Box on that Mozzie, and that was the key moment. That was the turnaround where EUnited managed to secure the round. It really shouldn't have been an EUnited round, if I'm being honest. That was Spacestation with a poorly timed execution and poor coordination to try and isolate those team fights.
Honestly, it really rested on the shoulders of Callout. In his play inside a daycare, there was no way to shake him. He was playing behind 2 barricaded walls. There was no utility from Spacestation to be able to cut the wall open, because obviously Canadian's application of those of the X-Kairos went elsewhere. And it's really tough. The Mozzie's just able to play with the commando in hand. You can gun a lot of people down. That's a deceptively strong weapon. And with, at the time, only 20 seconds left, you're going to have to push in a straight line and take those gunfights. Even if you're at a massive advantage, you can play off of the limited ways into the bomb site, giving the defenders a big advantage. So yeah, I agree with you. There's no real way that EUnited should have won that round, and yet they did, because Callout in particular played his spot perfectly.
So I need to correct myself then, because it was Callout, not Grixer. So bad call on my part. Thank you, Parker. And yeah, no, the play there from Callout was pretty amazing. And I think he's a little hungry after what happened on the last half. He had a couple moments where he really should, or not really should have, but certainly could have won his 1v1s and taken rounds for his team. So I'm sure he's feeling pushed to step up for that. There goes Yeti, though, leaving himself exposed to Dragon Stairs. Good drone work by Canadian and SSG as a whole to identify his position and then secure the kill without spooking him off. Well played to the attack, but it took half the round for that to happen. So that's a big kill, sure, but it is an expensive one.
Yeah, and we see from the defensive lineup of EUnited that it's very similar to what Spacestation was running, albeit on a bomb site that SSG never played on. So this will be fun to watch. It also means that every single bomb site has cropped up here on Theme Park through the 8 rounds. But the big obstacle that Spacestation are going to have to deal with right now is just simply going to be Callout's play. And this has been the man, honestly, that my focus has been on for most of this match, because he's playing utility very effectively. Lamai obviously is the deployable shield. That's one explosive that you're going to need to use to take care of. He's also got magnets that will continue to get thrown out, and who knows if Spacestation are going to be able to flash their way through them, or if they're going to need maybe something else that's a little bit more powerful. There's no Zofia here on the line, so Rampy is going to need all of them to be cleared to toss in those frag grenades. And there goes one, but it doesn't find its target as intended. So he'll hang on Repel. A vantage point opened up by Canadian as he's inside a control room. And he'll look to do exactly what the name of the bomb, or what the name of the room suggests, which is take control. His drone shot away immediately, intel denied, which will mean that EUnited will understand where they're coming from, but Spacestation won't have that same benefit. Call out the very first pick for EUnited. A third for him! He's having another banger of a round, my goodness! Everybody from SSG totally done for. Alfama in on the action too. Down goes one for thinking nade, but it's the clock. Just as the previous round that wins it for EUnited. They've been impressive so far on 2 defenses, Callout in particular. And this gap, Michael, it's closing very quickly.
Callout's keeping his gun up and keeping alive, and when the moment arrives, he is ready. Probably the last person you'd expect to be putting up a performance like this, but certainly a welcome one for EUnited, as he is really backpacking his team right now, putting up those stats. Across the board, though, we're seeing quite clearly that this is a case of defense-sided map. Now, it's not always going to be like that, but we're seeing it shine through at least here. I was all ready to count out United and make note of how this is their map pick, and it looks pretty bad, all things considered, and surprising that they wanted to go here. And it's looking like we might have a turnaround. We might have an actual map. You know, the beauty of all this, though, Parker, is that even if it has to do more with the map than anything else, and, you know, we don't necessarily know that is the case, it's only a theory, we still have another map after this. We still get to see more gameplay, and we won't be done here until we really know who deserves to be the victor. So far, though, it's looking, again, like it could be either team. And I really got to commend Callout and EUnited for putting up this kind of performance.
I know that people who watch might think that we get a little bit too caught up in talking about one player in particular, but in this instance, I think a lot of the praise that we're giving Callout is very necessary and very required, frankly, after a lot of undue criticism and negativity was directed his way in previous seasons for having poor stats, which, fair enough. His stats were not particularly great. In fact, he had among the worst stats in all of professional Rainbow Six last season. But this has been a remarkable turnaround for him. And now he's going to be playing an operator like Vigil, who's not going to be put particularly in a supporting role. So expect some aggressive plays out of him. One thing that I will give credit to EUnited for outside of Callout, though, is how EU have cycled through the bomb sites. Throne Room down below, widely considered to be last season the best bomb site to use. Well, EUnited decided not to go there for the first two defenses. They've changed that now. So where you usually have this third bomb site, this tertiary bomb site that's weaker, this might be one of the stronger ones for EUnited, and it would put this match within a round of being tied up. This is going to be tough for Space Station to go after, and we saw a late setup for EUnited, so maybe they're extended well across the map. That's something to keep an eye out for, too.
You know, in those past rounds, it was looking pretty bad for United, but everything seems to be shaping up. They, in this round, have still a roam presence. Alfalma, out and about, on the Orcs. An operator that is new to competitive Rainbow Six. We'll see what he's able to do with him in this round. The flash to clear out the Wamai Magnets, and a nade to follow it up to get rid of the Mute Jammer. Forrest looks like he might want to trick the Mute Jammer. I'm not sure if he's going to go in for it. Looks like no. C4, though, goes over. No, he's faking it out. All right, wall will get opened up. A little prone hole established and a line of sight onto Throne. There's plenty of cover for the defenders behind that hole, though, so United doesn't need to panic just yet. Alfalma still in that late flank position. At any moment, he can spring into action, quite literally, given his operator, and do quite a lot of damage on the flanks of his opponents. As we hit the last minute of this round, Space Station have a good setup, but considering they haven't gotten full control of outside of the bomb site, they are not in a winning position, and that impact tricking on the wall is going to make the execute a lot harder.
Grixer takes down Rampy, though, so at least one person from Space Station is involved in some action, as the gadgets on the attacking lineup have not been anywhere near as effective as they'd hoped. Also, Alfalma will still be that question mark, but he's on the other side of the map at this point. There's one on Yeti as SSG. This is a real Hail Mary. They're going to need to run in through a doorway. And it doesn't matter really what gun is in your hand, you just need to spray blindly. Forrest is there as backup with a shotgun. Down goes the Jackal, looking for another. It's Grixer, though, credited with the kills. Grixer with 4 kills on the round. Goodness gracious. These individual efforts from EUnited have been the story so far, and Grixer's made that look easy. He can celebrate as much as he wants. EUnited now within 1 round of being tied up, proving that Theme Park, well, it's a defender's delight.
A solid round indeed there from Grixer, but you saw there was redundancy on that door hold. At least 3 players from EUnited with their barrels pointed towards that smoke. A nice try there from SSG to, as you mentioned, Parker, Hail Mary that round into existence, but it just could not fully formulate for the attack. And it ended up going the way of EUnited thanks to their exceptional patience, and in particular, the impact tricking on that Throne wall. Now, I have to imagine that was Grixer on the Legion to be tricking that wall. Didn't see exactly who it was, but that would make the most sense. And given that it's all on him for that round, It's great support as well as fragger play. Now, this is a lot different of a story than I think a lot of people were expecting, as mentioned earlier. And I'm loving to see this kind of, not necessarily upset, but this kind of performance coming forward. And it really is, I think, going to be indicative of what we can expect in the rest of this season. I'm just so incredibly excited for how all of this is going to play out. Not only in this match, but just overall. Now, it's going to be a lab defense next. So, EUnited, one thing that I think is pretty clear through their play through this match is their sights are versatile. They don't seem to be locked into anything. They've got a setup for everything, and that is a well-studied EUnited. That means they've used those 2 months that they had leading up to this to really prepare for everything, and you gotta love their theme park pick because of that. Looks like a rush, though, from SSG. Uh-oh.
They burst right in, Michael. This is a huge play. And there goes what appears to be maybe a toxic canister. Smoke's going down 30 seconds in. Tons of confusion as thinking they 2 big kills. He's watching intently. Diffuser planted, so now the clock is running on EUnited. Will they be able to bounce back? It looks unlikely as SSG now picks up their 3rd kill. A missed opportunity from Grixer on the Nitro cell, but 2nd time's a charm. That shotgun won't be able to do much at such a long range against Space Station, who have just decided to vacate the premise, leaving the man of the hour call out in a 1v4. These are impactless frags unless he can do the unthinkable. He'll continue to get stunned, but he's not bringing anybody down with him. Very nearly a flawless round, but Space Station takes a gamble, and well, it pays off. We're 1 round away from snatching this theme park map, EUnited's map pick, away from them, setting us up with a 2nd matchup on Clubhouse, which will be theirs to lose.
Beautiful execution there from SSG. Such a simple strategy, but executed well, and with great confidence, they were able to make it happen. Honestly, there were a lot of counterplay tools that EUnited had ready to use, but the timing was off. The Ying Candelas were crucial in the outcome of that round. While Smoke will deny you line of sight, Candelas will deny you your basic instincts and sense because you are not able to see your own positioning and your own throwing of C4s. We saw that C4 from the mute on the wall, wherein it could have denied the plant of the diffuser, but unluckily it wasn't able to play out that way again because of those Candelas. Ying has been such a crucial operator in this match, not only for Space Station, but also for EUnited, and she is certainly proving her worth in the North American meta here today. Now, match point, as you said, Parker, very serious business here for EUnited, and while it is certainly seeming like a defender-sided map, there's really not a lot of room for EUnited to wiggle in here because they started on defense 2nd, and they've really got to step things up, or we're going to be facing, as you said, map number 2. Now, I mean, I'm not optimistic for EUnited if we get to Clubhouse. Or, well, no, when we get to Clubhouse, if EUnited doesn't take this map number 1, because as we all know, Clubhouse is a SSG map through and through.
I'd be really hard-pressed to see EUnited be able to stack up well against them on Clubhouse. I mean, hey, I've been surprised by EUnited and how quickly they've been able to, or how close this match has been. So, I mean, you never really know, right? And that's one thing just to keep in mind. In best of ones, there's an air of unpredictability. It tends to die off in best of 3s. If you're Space Station, you manage to win this, and then you lose Clubhouse, yeah, that's a confidence blow for sure, and a major boost to EUnited, but you've got Coastline up next. So there's still that insurance there for teams with bigger map pools, and I think between the two, I would probably give the nod to Space Station in regards to which teams, or which of these two teams, has the ability to play confidently on a variety of different maps. This is a late setup, by the way, that we just saw from EUnited. They put down the mirror windows in places that we saw them put them before, but they came late because they were waiting to read off of the way that SSG was going to take map control. So that's a risky play because if your mirror gets killed before those go down, you're in a tough spot. But ultimately, I think it might actually work out for EUnited.
I really like the way Mira is being used as a side note. In the past, she was the sort of operator you had the mirror windows. Oh, wait, is the action going to start here is the question, because it looks like we're about to have a confrontation by Break Room. A line of angles here for EUnited, as many, but the nades also will be well placed. Rampy takes down Forest, so that's break room. Now control favor SSG. United losing roamers. Oh no, but that's interesting. A default cam in main lobby is still up. SSG will notice that though. Canadian gets it eventually. Rampy gets his second kill on a long angle. Alfalma goes down. Now it's looking pretty desperate for the defense as we hit that final minute.
Don't count them out, though. If you remember, the last time they were on this bomb site, it took SSG an awful long time to be able to get their footing here, and they ultimately lost it, but not with shots like that, not from Rampy. When the man's hitting them like that, you're going to be hard to outduel him. Grixer with one of his own on Nabosco, but 4 more from Space Station remain in his sight with the match, or map, rather. On the line, he'll peek out and just narrowly evade the gaze that you would see from the members of SSG. Is there a blind spot in this Space Station attack? Diffuser goes down, final toxic canister goes out. There's lots of coverage. You can see their lines of sight. Grixer is going to be hard-pressed to do a single thing with such limited ammunition in that SMG-11. And indeed, he doesn't get anything done. Rampy with the final kill. Is that a 4K from Rampy that we saw in that round? If you're counting, you get a pretty good game. Give him MVP for his troubles. Map number 1, Michael. It's EUnited's pick, but it goes to Space Station.
Yeah, a pretty dominant performance in the first half results a easy lockout in that second half, despite having the disadvantage for many rounds. We're going to go on to the team cam now, and you can see them just after picking up map number 1. They're already lounging about and getting ready for map number 2.
You saw Rampy looking over, and he's thinking, am I MVP? Is that mine? Is that mine right there? But they'll go off, and they'll take some time to stretch their legs. I think that's it for our first map, and I believe we have a break ready for everybody, so we should be able to toss to that. And we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Welcome back. I'm Jackie Jing, and I am with our analysts, Veli and Jesse. What a first map, gentlemen. EUnited versus SSG. Final score 7-4. SSG winning. Lots to talk about here. Right off the bat, what sticks out with me, man, round 5, call out, losing that gunfight to Bosco with just 1 HP. Bosco just playing off that exceptional clutch. Am I wrong, guys? I mean, that definitely resonated with me throughout the entire map.
No, that was the best play of the entire map, and it was weird that it was allowed to happen. That shouldn't happen. It wasn't a 1v3. It was Bosco versus all of EUnited. I'm gonna hold all of them accountable because it just, let me break this down. So let me get this right. There was a plan happening, 3v1 in favor of EUnited, right? Bosco is by himself. They know where he is. Alfama swung in front of him in front of bathroom door. He got clapped immediately. But Bosco, he went through an extremely noticeable rotation hole through the hallway. But right before he did that, he was able to get his kill on Grixer through damage through the wall. Now, call out, let me talk to you, man. We all knew that Bosco had to go through that rotation hole. He not only allowed Bosco to go through that rotation hole, but with Bosco seemingly having no health left, he still was able to win that 1v1 versus a full health call out. That shouldn't have happened at all. But the good thing is, call out, even though they lost, he did redeem himself later on in this map.
Yeah, definitely. I thought that play was something that like no player should be winning. But of course, you know, Bosco, he's a world champion. I guess he can do things like that, and it's just allowed. EUnited are going to want to forget that round, no doubt about it, because that was a really, really rough one for them.
Yeah, EU definitely making mistakes there, but Bosco really pulling it out. That was exceptional. Round 7, round 8 also sticking out to me. Call out playing exceptionally well, 2 clutch plays. Do you guys agree with me? I mean, those definitely stuck out as well. Veli?
Well, I just spoke for like 5 minutes. Jesse, call out, Parker said it, statistically the worst in America, man. What really stood out to you?
I mean, I think the role swap that you were talking about before we even went live into this matchup was really apparent. I think Callout getting on some more of those aggressive roles was really, really important. And then he showed off, right? In round 7 and 8, as soon as they swapped to defense, you could see those big individual plays happening from Callout, from Grixer, and that really kept EUnited alive in the midpoint of that game. Obviously, it fell through eventually, and I think that a team can't rely solely on individual plays to win them their games. It'll win you a few rounds, and it did for EUnited. But that's not something that can win you an entire match generally, and certainly not a best of 3. So, I mean, it was good stuff, to be sure, from the players on EUnited. It seems like those role swaps are improving EUnited, but it's not going to be enough to beat SSG, not today at least.
And the thing about those big plays coming in from Callout is the fact that won them 2 of their first 3 games. You can't be happy with winning games just because somebody just goes nuclear. That's not going to happen every single time, and that's why Space Station, they were able to abuse them. You need to have that type of play from the start to the end of the game, and I didn't see that at all from EUnited.
Yeah, I mean, EUnited, they put us on our toes, right? I mean, we saw Callout stepping up, and then Grixer also had a 4K for round 9, but then round 10, SSG regaining control. Jesse, do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Definitely, yeah. I thought SSG sort of like saw what was going on. A lot of these clutches were happening from EUnited in like the dying seconds of the round when they would go for this like 20-second left to execute, and there's like a big player would jump off. So what SSG did was said, okay, let's focus the plant, let's get this down, and then we can just live in our post plant. I think Thinking Nate did a really good job covering his plant there when they got that off in storage. And that sort of gained the momentum back for SSG. They were able to win a couple in a row there, 10 and 11, and shut down the match. So I think that, again, just exemplifies SSG's skill, their talent as a team, you know, the best in the world for a reason, and good on them to be able to adapt to what EUnited were pulling.
And Veli, we were chatting about EU's time management. I know that you kind of wanted to go off on that one, so take the floor, sir.
I mean, it was pretty bad. I mean, all jokes aside, They gradually got better. So in the very first round, by the time they were able to step foot onto the site and gap finish roam clearing, there was 20 seconds left. Now, if we fast forward round 4, they did all that and still had a minute left. Now, fast forward to the next round. They did all of that in a minute and 30 seconds. Now, we saw the progression coming in from EUnited. Sad thing to say is that it came too late. Now, EUnited, we have to know that when you go against teams like a Dark Zero, when you go against teams like a Space Station Gaming, you're going to have to show that aggression up front because they're going to play extremely passive.
All right, and let's talk about SSG doing a great job on trading. Rampy, very consistent on the roam. Jesse, you were telling me that you felt like they were burning a lot of time effectively, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I thought all parts of Space Station Gaming were working really well together on the roam game. Generally, you would have those roamers wasting a lot of time, making sure they get their trades in. They were doing a really good job of staying alive. I like that opening kill into the Amaru as well from Canadian was a nice little, you know what, let's not start off this match with any shenanigans from SSG, so that was really good to see. And then in the rounds where they did kind of lose the roam game sometimes, or they let it get back to those like dying 30 seconds, I thought the anchors did a good job of, even when they were dying, getting those refrags, right? So I think Fault's sitting on site, Canadians sometimes sitting on site as well. We're doing a really stellar job of just making sure that even if they were getting pushed on a couple different angles, they take at least one with them. So that was really, really clutch for SSG.
And I believe that we do have some statistics coming in here. We are working on bringing up that graphic. But while we are working on that, call-outs. We've seen some role shifts here. I mean, typically a support player, it seemed like he was very much sticking on a fragging role when we were watching this matchup. Veli, would you agree with that, or what were your thoughts?
I feel like whenever you have a player that's having a hot hand and your roamers or entry fraggers aren't really getting the job done, there might come a time where when you have to win a series, you say, okay, you know what? Let's switch roles. Call out obviously was having those big plays, but let's not forget, even though his stat line is pretty, 6 of those kills came off of him being at the right place at the right time. I mean, yeah, it was great. But you got to look at the rest of the games. Now, another thing as well, we saw a lot of Ying attacks. It was pretty boring. It wasn't really successful. It only helped out the player that had him, which was Grixer. So I want to see more involvement throughout all of the ops in the lineup rather than just one Ying running in with Candelas getting kills for herself and the rest of the players having to fight for their own.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that when EUnited started off on attack, they really did want to focus that Ying. And obviously, like, we saw interesting stuff with the bans, and like Jaeger wasn't in there. So there was like opportunities there to bring some frag grenades and stuff. But EUnited didn't do that for a lot of their rounds, right? Like, they weren't bringing those throwables. There was the Candelas for sure, and you know, those got used. But as you mentioned, no real success from EUnited with those Ying Candelas. So that was a little bit unfortunate. And then when we swapped sides, we did see SSG using some more of those frag grenades, doing what they can to use some explosives, and I thought that was really, really nice to see from SSG. So yeah, I mean, good stuff all around from SSG, improving on the mistakes of EUnited.
SSG just continuing to dominate, and we have our community vote results in, and I'm waiting for us to pull that graphic up here, but just to reiterate what the question was, who is going to get the most kills? SSG or EUnited? And our poll is 65% saying SSG, just 35% saying EUnited, and they guessed correctly. Thank you so much for participating in that poll, ladies and gentlemen at home. And I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get the statistics graphics up here, but I just found out that we will not be getting those up, but do not go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot of excitement coming up. We'll be checking in with Kix and Intero in just a little bit. We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We're going to get things underway with our second matchup. Second map. I always say second matchup. I'm so hardwired to do best of ones, man. It's just like, it's the same match.
It's not your
matchup
fault.
number 1. Map 2.
We've been doing best of ones for so many years now. Finally having best of threes be the standardized competitive format for us is, it's a breath of fresh air. It's been a while, and you're not to blame, Parker. Don't worry about it. I'm sure I'm going to have the same trip-ups as this goes on. So, as Parker said, map number 2. Oh, feels so good to say those words. SSG taking map number 1, which was EUnited's pick. This second map, Clubhouse, as I'm sure most of you are familiar with, is SSG's pick. And it is also a map that SSG is extremely proficient on. So this is going to be a true test for EUnitted. They're down 1 map in the best of 3, and they're backed up against the wall that is Clubhouse. It's going to be difficult. The bans are done, pardon me. 2 hard destructors, Valkyrie and a Maestro. So information on the defensive side, hard destruction on the attacking side. We'll see how this one pans out. Thatcher is still in play, and that is going to be big for the attack.
They know that Alfama is particularly good on that Maverick, so they've decided to take him off of it, especially on this map. And, well, SSG's pattern now of banning operators is 2 maps in. It's both Maverick and Valkyrie. On Theme Park, same thing here. More flexibility on EU. They banned Thermite and Jaeger in map 1. Now they're going to ban Hibana and Maestro. Different applications of these operators. Obviously, a map like Theme Park is more utility heavy. You see an awful lot of defending lineups that involve Goyo, they involve Castle, etc. You're probably going to see the same thing to a certain extent on Clubhouse. I am going to very keenly watch how much play we see out of Goyo. He's not as strong as he used to be. The TCSG got a nerf. A lot of players have been running the Vector now. Is that going to impact the amount of rounds we see him on a map like Clubhouse? That's a question that will be answered probably halfway through when we go to switch sides. But standard stuff for round number 1. CCTV cache, largely considered to be the most defendable site on this map. It's where EUnited's going to go first. They're going to bring a very familiar lineup to us. Alfama's going to be great at being able to keep the walls intact. You've got Denial in terms of the mute jammers. You've got the castle barricades, which will slow down the attackers, though you can see from SSG's lineup, they have tons of explosives. And then the Clash is going to be a very interesting cherry on top of the hard-to-eat sundae that is EUnited's defense.
Speaking of hard to eat, something that's going to make it much more difficult is Forest is allowed to bring that Jaeger, which was banned in the previous map. Jaeger obviously has been a staple operator on any defensive lineup for as long as Siege has been a thing, despite all the changes that have come with him being out. So it's an interesting change of pace. The bans have been exceptionally unpredictable so far through this best of 3. I really haven't seen anything that's too standard. We've been seeing both teams try to manipulate those bans to be more comfortable for them as individual squads through this series so far. Not a lot of examples, only 2 maps, mind you. So we're going to see how that plays out as the weeks progress. Already some pressure being applied to the bomb site. It looks like they might be able to get the wall open, and yep, that's going to be a solid Thermite. Exothermic secures it. The Kaid Electroclaw denied by the EMPs of Thinking Nade. Well played there to SSG. Wall open, job done. Double reinforcement. Forest is not going to be leaving the garage. He is staying in there nice and safe. Now, if there were a Hibana in play, that might be a very different story, but of course that's not going to be the case. That wall will not get opened up, and Forrest's job is just going to be holding 2 angles, basically, the garage door and the lounge door.
Are they going to be able to do anything to him is the real question. He's obviously going to be playing to die. It was the Hibana ban from EUnited, so they very clearly knew that this is what they wanted to accomplish. And Bosco, after a fire arrow goes out, won't do any damage to Forest, as the Jaeger will have the upper hand. He's still up on top of that catwalk, perched on his ADS as it'll eat a frag grenade that had his name right on it. And Forest is just killing time. Not just killing SSG in terms of Bosco, but the clock is the greater target right now. There's a drone on him being spotted from above. Forrest knows that the jig is up. He might have to move at some point. He's got Alfama down below. The Kaid is just some covering fire if need be. While SSG is stacked up at the breach, looking in towards the B bomb site. They'll dump in some utility, maybe to eat up some ADSs. A frag grenade goes on in. There goes Call Out, removed from action by Fultz. Forrest will try to come on back. He takes one down, but Thinking Nate has his teammates back. Garage control for SSG, but they're cut off. Clash of Yeti pushing up towards the top of red. He can easily enter the bomb site, but he's got his back turned because he's vulnerable. The Kaid comes out, somehow wins the fight. With AUG in hand, say goodbye to Thinking Nate. It's still even though. Rampy getting the plant down. In comes the Clash. The Clash would be able to do nothing at all. Shield on her back. It's a knife fight and a team kill. Unlucky for Space Station. Yeti very easily thwarting the play from SSG. And Celebration on the side of EUnited, as they have no problem disabling that diffuser. And with it, they'll take round number 1.
Yeti has to be laughing, and you can bet that EUnited are happy they got that round. That should have been through and through an SSG round, but a couple key mistakes result in a win for EUnited. Mistake number 1, the way that the clear came out for the garage. Too late. The push to default plant came, and you could see SSG wanted to go for that plant. They decided they can ignore the Jaeger. Let's just go for it. But the Jaeger, as his last action in the round, manages to deny the plant, kill the planter before being taken out. Now, at this point, garage control established. SSG has the breach. Things are looking okay. They can still secure the round, and yeah, it's been a kind of dangerous take into the site, but they're in a good position, a winning position. However, evidently, SSG did not account for the clash. They struggled to deal with that player, that clash on the bomb site, could at no point kill him, and then in the end, it goes about as bad as it possibly could have in that final gunfight with the Kaid coming up to support his teammate. It wasn't even necessary. Oh man, the positioning, the gunfight in general, it panned out so poorly for SSG. And Yeti had to have been laughing with the way that ended up.
Attackers must locate and defuse the bomb.
I feel like we saw Alfama do something similar back when he was on the old Lestream roster on Consulate upstairs, where a lot of people refer to it as the bikini body strap. Maybe not anymore. Some people now refer to it more like the turtle because you look like a turtle with your shield on your back. But man, the frustration that would come in. But I don't think SSG is a team that's going to tilt too much over this. I imagine that what we're going to see is they'll be able to laugh it off. It's a frustrating round, no doubt, because it definitely appeared like they had everything going in their favor. You've got what? You've got Fultz. You've got Rampy still on the board. These are probably 2 of your best aimers on Space Station. You should have no problem whatsoever being able to just outduel one player in a clash, but it was not to be. So, missed opportunity. It's a funny clip and people will be enjoying it, but it's not the be-all and end-all. The second defense, though, for EUnited is going to take place on the same floor, upstairs over on Master and Jim, and it's a bit of a different lineup from EUnited this time, just in terms of the fact that they've got a Pulse instead of the Clash, so they're not going to try to kill as much time as possible. And the man of the hour last round was Forrest. Inside a garage, he did great work. Well, this time he's playing inside a cache, and he's gone. A very early pick on an exact mirror of what happened in the previous round with Bosco, this time getting the better of the Jaeger.
That was a big kill in that last round. The Bosco would have been able to clear out the garage with his bolts. Because he died, he was unable to. And now SSG, where they actually came pretty close to winning that last round, are in an even more dominant position in the second round. So see what they're able to do with it. Control of Workshop is the priority. With that, they can start pinching on the bomb site. Here come the EMPs to try and open up the Koozie wall. It's a repel from Canadian so he can get out safe and avoid the run out that EUnited so clearly wants to pull off. And there it is. Perfectly read by SSG, expecting the run out and not exposing themselves to it. EUnited are puzzled, and now they're getting shut down. Thinking Nate opening up the barricade. There's a second for Thinking Nate and a third through the Claymore. What a poor decision process there for EUnited, and Thinking Nate, SSG as a whole, really feeling control this round. Grixer's got 40 seconds. He has to hold out. Here's the 4th run out, it seems, and it's going to be the final kill, this time for Bosco. But SSG getting the majority of their frags over by that balcony.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, when you lose control of the jacuzzi wall, you kind of got to go for broke. And there's not, if there's no Nomad on the board, if there's no Claymores on the board, and you don't really have to worry about it too much. Thinking Nade's Claymore had already taken care of itself by killing one of your teammates. So, hey, why not? I mean, they'd make sure that whoever died to the Claymore didn't die in vain. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody go for it.
Don't take that advice, by the way. Just somebody's gonna, if you're playing this game and you're playing ranked or quick match or whatever, and somebody hops out and they die to a Claymore, immediately do the same thing, because there's definitely not a Claymore there most of the time. There still might be, but you know what? Maybe just do it anyway. So the experiment with Gym upstairs, when you lose control of the peripheral areas in Gym Master, which is construction, and which is over by Jacuzzi, the only place that you really still have some form of safe harbor is typically logistics, and it didn't look like EUnited was investing all that much in holding logistics. They looked very clearly like they were holding construction and surrounding area, and they were playing very deep off-site for a period of time. You had cache being held, which is standard stuff when you're looking at Gym Master as a bomb site, because most teams are going to enter through CCTV, tackle whatever's in cache. EUnited expended some resources by putting up reinforcements on the wall of CCTV and on cache. You play that area very aggressively, force the attackers to waste time, waste gadgets, waste drones. Unfortunately for EUnited, Space Station didn't really waste that much, and were able to flush out Forest, take control of construction. And I think the call that was made from EUnited was, let's get really aggressive, let's try to catch them off guard, get a couple picks out the windows. Surely they can't win all the gunfights. The problem is that the greatest flank watch in all of North America, Thinking Nade, who is basically a human rock when it comes to flank watch, well, he crushed all of them. He got 3 kills. Now, for SSG, they're going to attempt to take on the bottom floor of Clubhouse. This is the first time we're seeing this as a defense for EUnited, so 3 rounds, 3 different bomb sites, and the opening pick goes to EU.
Now, they're looking pretty solid after that. They did lose some HP on Yeti, so they have to consider that in future engagements. He'll be more exposed. I like the way the EU is set up in blue, in utility. You can see that they've got double ADSs, and they've got the Clash to allow Yeti to play as well as he wants to on that position. But again, the dangers of being on 1 bullet's worth of HP have to be present in Yeti's mind. He's going to have to consider all of his gunfights. The setup upstairs from SSG is not hastened by the clock, as they have plenty of time to deliberately, systematically clear out every nook and cranny before they start opening from above, which is exactly what they're going to do now by kitchen. Now, the question is, what are the avenues for SSG? You've got a couple choices here. Main stairs, blue, dirt tunnel, kitchen drop. These are some of them. And there's a firebolt to get rid of Yeti. Well, it's not going to be a bullet to finish him off. It'll be the firebolt from Bosco. So, I mean, same result, different method. And Space Station are looking pretty solid after that kill, despite the early loss of Pulse. Tricking going on by Pulse, but the double EMP will deny the Kaid Electroclaw. And there you go. Moto drop opened up. So we hit the last minute. SSG equalizing the man count and using their utility very wisely. The only real hurdle that's still in play here for EUnited that's going to deny the direct take from SSG is that Clash. It could be a large danger for the attack.
Callout will very likely have a trail of goo mines leading through the dirt tunnel, which is where Rampy is going in. He's being escorted or led in by Canadian's drone, and then the Thermite might be quick to follow, but we know what happens if too many teams find themselves buried inside of dirt tunnel. It doesn't really go well. They don't get out at all, and despite the fact that I think it's called escape tunnel, escaping is the last thing that they're going to be doing, especially not alive. So the Clash is now posted on up. L85 in the hands of Rampy, trying to deal some damage, and not exactly the best Clash play. A double kill from Rampy. He takes full control. 10 seconds left, and Forrest is fighting for his life inside of the church. But on a hope and a prayer, well, that's all he's able to do. Space Station's going to take round number 3. Cache reopens. EUnited will likely go back up there. Excellent play from Space Station to take map control as quickly as they did in the dying seconds of that round.
There's a couple components to the result there. One of the key ones was Yeti's death to the firebolt, and it was as a result of his aggression early in the round, losing so much HP, he didn't have time to dodge the firebolt. Now, the reason why that was so crucial is you guys, I'm sure, could tell just how much was invested in blue by EUnited. They really wanted to control it. It seemed so pivotal to the outcome of that round. Clash, Jaeger, 2 ADSs, they were stacked up on that position. But when the Jaeger died, the Clash couldn't hold solo because, well, she can't slow and shoot at the same time. At least not anymore. So it was a no-win scenario for the Clash. She had to fall back. She had to retreat to the bomb site. And instead of coming back into the bomb site and trying to further slow the take in through blue, she opted to try and deny outright the push in dirt. Now, given normal circumstances, I actually might want to call that the right decision, because doubling up on the one player pushing you from dirt is going to deny a prong to the attack, which is going to hurt the crossfire that SSG is clearly trying to put up. However, in this instance, it was Rampy that they were trying to stop with the Clash. And that turned out to be a terrible idea, as he managed to not only kill the Legion behind the Clash in the heads-up gunfight, but later kill the Clash, who was out of charge, getting control of dirt and establishing the crossfire that SSG wanted, regardless of the investment from EUnited. Now that means that SSG get blue control, they get dirt control, and they lose no one on either of those pushes, resulting in an easy crossfire and taken to the bomb site. On top of that, it's compounded by the man advantage they had already established. A beautiful round there from SSG.
Putting a bow on that one as we now look towards round number 4, as speculated upon, upstairs inside of Cache and CCTV. And while you can look at the EUnited lineup, it's a little bit different this time around. Despite the fact that the comical mishap at the end of that round is what resulted in EUnited winning this bomb site, obviously they felt it wasn't sustainable enough. So they've changed not just their lineup, but the way that they're going to hold it too. Forrest isn't going to be playing to die inside of Garage. He's got an opening, at least a vantage point that he can look through on a soft wall, with the other likely reinforced. And I think it's worth noting that, once again, you pointed this out in round number 1. No Hibana means that any form of hard breach that's not immediately in front of the thermite is all but impossible. It means that taking control of that portion of Garage or Catwalk is just, it's not really doable. Trying to take out any Electric Claws, Mute Jammers, Bandit Batteries, what have you. There goes the Zofia Explosion, and then an Exothermic Charge follows. That likely shakes off the Mute Jammer from Grixer that was placed on the double panel over by the B-Bomb.
Great breach there from SSG, well established. Well, the Kaid was being brought in a number of times, but in this round, not even going to bother. I think United's right for that decision, given how well the EMPs have been used by the Kincaid so far. Now, the entranceway is established for SSG, but they don't have enough control to go for the execution because Forrest is still inside of Garage, so they'll have to confront that Garage player before going for anything. Looks like they might be shifting also to a west take here.
Yeah, they've made a call. They don't like the take through Garage, so instead maybe try to take out Construction. There goes one, but Rampy can't get the follow-up on Yeti. Does he have any support at all? The answer is no, and Yeti might be able to get out of there, no problem, but he gets spotted out by Canadian. He's not able to get through the hatch at all. Gym is a very familiar place for Yeti if you follow him on social media, but unfortunately doesn't quite have the same results that I would imagine he does in real life in that particular room. 30 seconds left, and SSG still have control of the west side. You called it. They've decided instead to go for another avenue, and they're going to open up that construction panel. Is there a possibility for impact tricking happening? No. None of the operators remaining happen. Bolts takes out Callout, then gets taken out by himself, or rather takes out a member of EU, then gets taken out by Callout, and then Callout punished by Bosco. Beautiful plays and excellent calling from Space Station for them to maneuver those chess pieces over to the other side of the board, reading that construction was indeed the weaker site. And instead, SSG, after doing all that work to open up CCTV, decides a change is needed, and it works out as they take the round.
I think some of the traits at SSD were really well highlighted in that round. Number 1, their agility. Their ability to negate the lethality of their opponents through sheer positioning and teamwork. Number 2, their precision, their ability to land the shots when it's crucial, when it matters most. Many teams would hit that wall, the clock hitting down to 20, 15 seconds, and they would lose their ability to win the gunfights. The shakes would get there, and they would just not be able to land the shot on the entry. Not so for SSG. And again, that last round, a great example of that. EUnited had a decent chance of taking that one. But it wasn't even just those things I mentioned earlier. It was also the swiftness that SSG managed to, or in which SSG managed to shut down that double roam take up the main stairs. That should have been Yeti wasting more time than he did. It could have been Yeti wasting the entire rest of the round, but not so. SSG jumped on top of that, and they jumped on top of it quickly. Well played to SSG. Great execution on the West take. They really put themselves in a risky position because of the decision to go for a West take late, but it worked out in the end.
SSG's always had great gunners on the team, but the one thing that when they picked up Canadian, they noted on was that they wanted good calling. And honestly, I don't think they win the Invitational earlier this year without Canadian. And the calling in that round in particular was pitch perfect and allowed them to read the bomb site, read the setup, make the changes, catch EUnited as they rotated to answer the change that came in from Space Station. Because when that first domino falls and the attackers decide to go somewhere else, well, then the defenders need to try and stop them. And that's exactly what EUnited did up the main stairs, trying to go through Jim and Master. They got caught out, and ultimately, Space Station loses 1, EUnited loses 2, and loses 2 of their better players as well. So they're not going to opt to go back to cash, though, for EUnited. They're going to scramble over to Jim and Master. Only 1 victory on defense right now on Clubhouse. That is a dangerous spot to be in. There is no win condition right now for EUnited, as 3 of the 6 rounds on defense for EUnited have gone to your opponent. That's not where you want to be on a map like Clubhouse. And yes, it is one of Space Station's best, but you have to be a little bit sharper than that. And let's not ignore the fact that this really could have been a 4-0 if you look at that very first round. So a Jim Master defense, as EUnited is just basically throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. They've got Forrest once again playing upstairs inside of Cash. Is he going to play to die? Well, SSG will very slowly clamp down around Cash, and Forrest might take somebody with him, but no, he'll actually get out of there. Ooh. A smart play by EUnited. That's the right thing to do. And now, if SSG don't drone this out, they might waste some time, not realizing they have the control they want.
That was a narrow escape there for call out, but an escape nonetheless. And oh no, another Claymore kill, this time onto Alfalma. The reads here for those Claymore placements have been excellent for SSG, and in contrast, not so for EUnited. Well, that's an early kill, and I mean, I don't think that SSG is going to look the gift horse in the mouth on that one. They'll just extend their control as they continue to push into Workshop and Office. Yeti trying to hold on to Office from the vault. It's going to be difficult for him to manage that one, I'm sure, as Foltz is the player set up to go for that take. And with his lifeline, he can make the hold really difficult using the Guzmat function. Here comes actually, I believe, a triple push from SSG. The drone coming in as well. Heavy presence on this take. Rampy's going to drop at the same time as Zofia pushing in. The run out from Callout will be shut down by Bosco, but there's one for Yeti. Lining up for the second, he gets it. There's the Zofia down and finished off. Stunned though, he doesn't know where to look. Stacked up with his teammate Forrest right next to him. Grixer will also get Bosco. It's just Thinking Nade and Canadian on the entry from Office. But finally, shut down is Yeti. Canadian with the infinitely better gunfight in that position. A second for Canadian, and Thinking Nade cleans it up. SSG, against all odds, will win in the 2v3. A situation that certainly should have gone to EUnited. We've seen a couple of those today, and that one is just as impressive.
That looked to me like there was just no real knowledge, and you can't call through that if you're EUnited. Yeti and the Kaid played. They were stacked up on the doorway from Logistics into Master. I think it was Forrest who went and ran out onto the stairs as Kaid lay down prone, waited very patiently, and he had the revolver in hand. Do remind yourselves, or at least for those of you that might not even be aware, that the revolver is now available as the sidearm for Kaid after a couple changes have been made. Nomad also got access to the pistol that Capitao uses, so the two Moroccan operators are no longer confined to just using that 44 with the ACOG on it. They have a decent sidearm, which I guess as a Kaid you can kind of take that fight, but Canadian just maneuvers around the corner and he knows and calls it perfectly as Thinking Nade huts down the remaining member of EUnited. Again, EUnited just do not look comfortable on these defenses at all. It doesn't matter where they're defending. They're making interesting strategic choices that to me are a little bit careless. Alfama jumping out of a window, getting hit by a Claymore, not exactly something you need to do. Call out going for the run out from Strip Club, I think is correct. We see a lot of teams do that. BDS is one of the teams that loves to do it. And they actually did it earlier in their matchup today, running out of Strip, trying to get a kill. And it worked out just well. Jaeger isn't a 3-speed anymore. He can't necessarily get as far as he used to be able to, but it's still a cheeky play that if you have a cam up, you can call off of it. The problem is that if it fails, as it did for EUnited, you're at a huge disadvantage, leaving people on site outnumbered. Yeti did his best to try and keep everybody together, and he played the angle well from logistics. It was abundantly clear that Spacestation was blind on how aggressive EUnited had got in that middle round to try and retake some of the map control that they had forfeited to SSG, especially in and around logistics. But Yeti ended up getting flashed. He had nowhere to go. Once he got 2 kills with that MP5, he was found out. Even Sustain from Doc can't hold you off. He gets picked apart, and then the rest of the site just falls as SSG bursts in, and they actually had over 10 seconds left at that period of time. So everything working well for SSG on these attacks. They look very refined, and honestly, EUnited, they're in their very final defense. With the way this is playing out, this might end up being a very quick map.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way, and you mentioned getting found out. In this round, SSG have pushed all the roamers back thanks to their excellent drone work and finding out where everyone is. EUnited was definitely trying to hold above. They were doing their darndest to waste some time, but at most, they got half the round, and that's really being generous. It looks like it's going to be a pretty hefty fight on the bomb site, but look at this call out in Grixter pushing up main stairs right now into the kitchen hallway, or no, possibly falling back downstairs. Pardon me, bad call. The top down really not working for me there, and my eyes maybe need some work. Anyway, EUnited holding firm on the bottom floor, and they're going to try and just hold out for the last minute. It's going to be very difficult, though, with the amount of utility that SSG has in the drones and the gadgets in general. I mean, we've got all 4 bolts, I believe, still available for Bosco, and that in of itself is really crucial when it comes to the site execution. He's going to be able to cut off the rotation between sites. It gets worse, though, for SSG as Yeti takes him down, or takes Rampy down specifically, with the C4 from below. Well played to him. I believe that was pre-placed. No matter what the case, though, it's all about that timing from Yeti.
This lineup from EUnited is very challenging to drone out. We've seen this on Clubhouse. SSG is one of the teams that have done this so many times when you used to see a castle and a Mozzie and they used to roam upstairs. Everything about EUnited is designed to try and waste as much time as is humanly possible. So no surprise that with 30 seconds left, there really hasn't been that much ground game from Space Station. This should be a lock of a round for EUnited unless they just simply take a bunch of gunfights and lose every single one of them. They've got tons of intel at their disposal as well, with the Pulse playing on this sensor inside of Escape Hatch, or Escape Tunnel. Canadian takes down 1, he gets felled by Call Out. The kill feed being traded off, but it's a 1v2, and EUnited will get the very final kill. It's Forrest taking out Bosco. A lot of confidence there from EUnited, and that strategy, obviously, working very well. It caused Space Station to spend so much time to drone out the entire map, and with a Vigil on the board, you never really know how precise your calls are. That's what you need to see more of for EUnited. The only problem is they switch sides now, and EUnited goes on to attack.
The crucial moment there for the attack was the fact that they were not the crucial moment, I guess. The crucial thing that crippled that attack was the fact that they didn't clear out Dirt Tunnel. So if you're going for a kitchen drop take, if you want to plant inside of Armory, generally speaking, you need to either open the tunnel or at least establish that there's nobody playing inside of the tunnel. That is essential to the outcome of the round being positive for your attacking team. That did not happen, though. There was no presence inside of Dirt for the attack. They didn't drone it out. They didn't know if it was clear or not. Pulse was in there. Not only is Pulse going to be able to give information to his teammates from that position, but further, he was going to swoop in the last second and deny the round to the attack. Well played. See that Pulse well played to EUnited. Patience paying off in that round. And the time, the clock, really being crucial. I'm surprised by that, also, because, yeah, Vigil played, I think, a large role in distracting the attack, but SSG had ample time to execute onto the site. I'm really kind of shocked that they didn't manage to push it forward in that round. But as you mentioned, Parker, as we transition into the second half, we now have SSG in a kind of a different spot. They can just wait things out. It is all on EUnited to be aggressive and to get the control that they need in order to win these rounds. In this particular round, it seems like there won't be a roamer from SSG, which I am surprised by.
Especially when this was the team that basically made roaming a huge thing on this bomb site, but
yeah.
As you can tell, it's a very different meta that we're in right now, and instead of playing off-site, SSG is going to essentially quintuple down on anchoring. Once again, they're going to be running Jaeger and Wamai. We see teams do this quite regularly. We saw it at the tail end of the previous season of Pro League. Didn't really get a good look at it at all in the very first map because Jaeger was obviously banned. But at the same time, it's very, very strong. And then when you add to it the fact that you have to cut through soft walls, you have to cut through hard walls, there's only one hard breacher on the board. Things can be a massive challenge in terms of utility for the attackers. And if you're SSG, you're really hoping that EUnited are not the most proficient at dealing with it. But from what we hear of scrim reports, both Wamai and Jaeger together is fairly common. One thing that you want to keep an eye on is we're over a minute into this round, and Canadian, I think, has only thrown out one, now maybe two of his magnets. He's saving them to try and determine where the push is coming from. It's easier to hide them than it is in ADS. That's a good play from him. And if you're EUnited and you drone it all out thinking, okay, well, there's a magnet here or there's none here at all, you've got a lot of strength as a defender catching them off guard with these late tosses of utility.
Speaking of utility, Thinking Nade managing to dodge a lot of those nades coming over by blue. That's very scary stuff for him, I'm sure. Or not nades, but some sort of explosion. Must have been Alfama's lifeline or something along those lines, because there are no nades in play here for EUnited. Whatever the case be, he perseveres. EUnited are set up to throw their Candelas into blue, and then simultaneously spring into action by Moto. Here it comes. It's the rush strat into Armory, actually. The line of sight, though, is good for SSG as they shut that down fiercely. Candela's coming in through blue. SSG stacked up. Will it be the double? Yes, there's Grixer with two. He's looking for the third. Rampy in dirt. Bosco inside of Church. Bad position here for SSG. Yeti going for the plant, and Grixer's the perfect operator to cover. Post-plant now, SSG have to retake their own site. At least they have a crossfire to do it with. Bosco eats some damage, but he gets a gas canister off. Down goes Rampy. Now it's all on Bosco, and he hasn't been able to deal with the player over by the box. Grixer is going to get the last kill, and EUnited will lock up that round. Great job to Grixer in particular for covering the planter and holding it in the post-plant.
So I guess it's safe to say through two maps now that Ying is very much on the menu, because Grixer loves the Ying play, and it's working out very effectively. It pushed SSG to add Warden to their mix through two, or at least one round that I can recall. And, well, there you go. 2 rounds now that we've seen front and center. I don't know if this is 6th pick bait. For those that know what 6th pick is, or those that don't know, you're capable of masking your operator lineup by swapping off. Grixer is going to stay with the Ying, knowing that there's an operator on the board that is able to fully hard counter the Candelas going out and smokes as well. A gym bedroom defense with no Mira, well, that's something that we've seen before. Mira is typically banned on this map, oftentimes along with Echo. Echo, due to where he is right now, is actually banned in every competitive match. So teams don't have to worry about using a ban on him. And that's something that's actually quite interesting that I'm sure we could dive into in a post-mortem of these matchups, is if Echo was available, how much would be different? Because I suspect there would be quite a lot of changes here to what is and isn't being banned. Would you still see a Maestro and Valk ban allowing an Echo to go onto the field? Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, back to this lineup. There is a hard counter for the Ying. It's in the hands of Warden. Fultz once again playing our favorite suit-wearing operator, and we'll see if he's able to counter the glitz and glamour that comes from a Candela dance party when Grixer enters the scene.
Beautifully done, Parker. Yes, it is going to be a direct counter pick, and I don't know if it's going to work out for Fultz. We've seen the Warden be brought actually already in past rounds on past maps, and it hasn't been successful in countering that Ying Candela play. I mean, it prevents the Warden from getting flashed. Yeah, but it isn't winning gunfights, and that's really tricky. The SMG-12 is probably one of the worst guns to be doing this with, but It's what they've got, so they're working with what they have available. That probably should have been Thinking Nade or Bosco opening up those holes earlier in the round with their shotguns, but not so. It must have been an oversight from SSG. They can recover from that, though. It's not the end of the world. The extended roam from, or rather extended anchor hold, I guess you could say, into cash from Jim is considered to be less of a roam, more of a true hold because of the way that you do it. You set up those reinforcements, and it's so crucial to the outcome of the round. Because if defense loses control of cash early, and they give it away to the attack just for free, then it's too easy for the attack to make a leisurely pace onto the bomb site. It's placed on the floor to avoid the impact tricking, but it won't work out because Bosco is playing inside of Workshop, and he's got an angle onto the floor to deny that very exothermic charge. So great job there to Bosco, impact tricking the first exothermic, and now EUnited has to really consider their second exothermic placement.
That's a tough spot here, and we know Rampy's very capable of playing inside of cash. He gets gunned down this time from Fultz, who's playing as the Warden, and Warden perfectly counters the Ying play. This is exactly why you'd pick that operator, and it works out perfectly. It also keeps Rampy in great position inside of cash. Now this will be a big problem from EUnited. Are they going to tackle it? It appears not. They instead are going to move towards the other side of the site. They now go towards the west side, just as SSG had done when SSG was on attack. The only person on EUnited that still seems to be in the general vicinity is Forrest, who's playing on Catwalk inside of Garage, so he could possibly be a late flank to try and deal some damage. A retreat from SSG as they've fallen off of their hold. Fultz with his second kill. That's a beautiful, hard shot to make, and it's through the alibi clone as well, or decoy, whatever you want to call it. Once again, it's going to shove EUnited into a worse spot.
They still got a chance here, but it really isn't looking likely, as EUnited has failed on every part of their assault. They need to grasp some straws, and they're going to try for a vault in through the balcony. They have no other choice at this point. Call out the only other player, apart from the balcony players, in the attack here. Here comes the vault from Yeti. He gets taken down by Fultz. Call out trying to plant, but first he has to eliminate Fultz. He's done that. Thinking Nate, though, behind him, and there's the finish off on the Thermite. Rampy from elsewhere will get Forrest also inside of Jim, and SSG will take a well-earned round. That play over by Cash was, I'd say, crucial in the outcome there. And the Warden pick in particular needs a highlight. Oh boy, that is about as well as we've ever seen Warden used.
Yeah, and it's honestly, I don't know if EUnited is going to stick with the Ying. It's very clear that she is a major part of their strategy, but there's an answer to it from Space Station. So while the Ying is going to show up on the board, no Warden will. There's an opportunity for Space Station to be able to make that change due to the 6th pick if they want to. The question is going to be, does anything come of it? No cash CCTV defense yet from Space Station, as they do indeed pick off onto the Warden. So they're going to go back downstairs to Church and Arsenal. It was really close. It was a 2-2 in a post plant, and ultimately EU's 50-50s ended up breaking in their way in the dying seconds of the post plant. Can SSG maybe understand the way that EUnited's going to come after them? Will the Warden pick defending against a Ying that you know is going to be present on probably every single attacking round make the difference? EUnited looked strong on their attack 2 rounds ago on this bomb site. Is it going to be replicated? Will they be able to take control of blue as effectively as they did? Or will Space Station now read into it and come up with a different way to tackle the issues that EUnited presents?
I think the key difference, I want to loop back around to that Warden because we were talking about him. The key difference, I think, in how SSG used Warden in that scenario when you compare to many other teams is that instead of putting Warden in the exposed position of, oh, he's the one getting pushed, which is kind of, that makes sense, right? If you're going to get a Candela dropped on you and there's going to be smokes dropped on you as well, maybe that's where you put the Warden. So many teams in that scenario would probably put him in cash. But instead of doing that, SSG used Warden to protect the player that was exposed to the Yings, protect the player who's exposed to those smokes, and use him on a long line of sight that is typically denied by the smoke. And that kind of off-site presence, I mean, it makes it so even though he's got the MPX, which is, for some players, hard to make work, he's still able to be lethal because Ying just doesn't expect to fight back from that position. I'm sorry, I got a little bit distracted by that. In the meantime, EUnited have cleared out what would be roamers, what is in this case simply empty building. And it's only taken them a minute to do that and start setting up on their site attack.
One of those exothermic charges is now gone off. They can call out with a second in reserve, which will either go on a church wall or dirt tunnel, might go onto the kitchen hatch, but that's always fraught with peril due to the fact that if a defender has impact, you're in trouble, and that exothermic charge is very easily destroyed by a well-timed impact grenade from a defender down below. Goo mine hit at the bottom of the main stairs will give away some information. Points are not on, which means that you don't know exactly which goo mine has been broken unless you have a line of sight of it. This is actually very quick. Callout is already down. He's towards the back of the church wall, and he could put an exothermic charge on here. There's no denial from SSG at all, so Callout will be able to get this one quite easily. Rampy's got an impact in hand. Is he going to be able to get it? Yes, he does. EUnited not accounting for the fact that there would be an impact on the board. And their push from Moto, well, it's going to be slowed down. The entry from Church no longer available. So EUnited will now need to fight their way through. Their only hard destruction goes onto that Moto hatch. These are troubling times for the EUnited team.
You know, you have to continue to be impressed by SSG. Many teams would not account for a potential exothermic charge on Church Wall. It's just such an out-of-date tactic. But SSG, well, they did. They put Rampy in a position to trick that, and now EUnited is between a rock and a hard place. They really don't have an avenue for an execution. They're going to try for, I believe, an armory take. As you can see, the hole is opened up. There's 2 guns pointed that direction on SSG's side, so it's not going to be an easy execute. And he will get the initial entry, though. That's big. That's one of those guns gone. Rampy eliminated. Here comes the rest of the push. EUnited deep into Armory. Grixer goes down, but not before he gets the Fidelis off. It doesn't matter, though, because it's Canadian on that Warden. Callout trying to plant behind the shelf, and he does not get that down. Alfalma has the, or rather Canadian has the line of sight before he gets traded out. There goes Alfalma now trying to plant the diffuser. Forest in blue wins his fight, and a follow-up. Perfect flank. Now it's just Bosco. He has to get 2 or deny the plant. It's going to be close. Reload canceling. He has to go for a second try. He can deny it, but he has to win the first gunfight. He gets it. Close on the second. It's a down. Bosco with the big clutch. Space Station take it, and that's going to be match point Space Station Gaming.
The second huge clutch from Bosco over these 2 maps. Absolutely incredible play from him. He just clobbers EUnited, cleans up, and that's the masterful smoke play of one of the most storied players in all of North America, showing why when you see Bosco on smoke, it's always a sight to behold. What an extraordinary clutch. And if we go back 30 seconds before that clutch, Canadian quarterbacking that defense all the way from boxes at the back of Arsenal. He's got a long line of sight to the bottom of main stairs. He's got line of sight on the default plant behind the bomb chassis and the area that's referred to as pulse spot, which is the soft wall right at the bottom of the main stairs. And he guns down 2 members of EUnited, but then there's a second push that comes on in from over towards blue, showing that EUnited knew that there would be a weakness there. They could exploit it and catch Space Station off guard. And EUnited manages to recover after a bit of a stumble. But then there's just no calls. There's no information. Bosco quick peeks around the corner. Another inhuman clutch from him. That's his second on the day. And Space Station, in fact, clutching so much. I want to say that it's largely because SSG's a good team, but I honestly think the bigger point that needs to be mentioned at some point is if you are a team that is repeatedly losing numbers advantages, there is clearly something on your end communication-wise or coordination-wise that is breaking down, because you should be able to hold that one angle and know where it's coming from and be able to play off each other if it's a 1v2, 1v3, etc. Is that 5 clutches now today that EUnited has forfeit or has given to SSG? That's 5 lost rounds. That is not a number that is going to allow you to win a best of 3, period. It doesn't matter how many maps it happens over. And EUnited are going to have to look back over this film, and I know that both Bagel and Meepy are going to be disappointed at the fact that they gave up those opportunities when they had advantages, but I fully suspect EUnited to bounce back once they manage to come up with a reason as to why they were losing those clutches to SSG.
I certainly expect the same, Parker. EUnited have come very close to greatness in this match, and it's not over yet. We're not done, but it is getting more and more difficult as time goes by. As these rounds continue to stack up for SSG, these clutches continue to be successful for the defense. Bosco, I want to make note of this. He just ran out of Garage. Just immediately, he's out. He doesn't care anymore. As soon as the wall got opened up, which wasn't reinforced, SSG just abandoned Garage. They clearly were planning for that. I'm sure there's a reason. They also reinforced Lounge instead of the Garage panels, which is a different approach to defending this bomb site. In a very different approach. Overall, as Lounge control is forfeited here for SSG, which means they're not going to have the C4 from below, at least not right now. And Garage control is forfeited. The wall isn't even really attempted to be held. SSG are just letting the push come all the way into the site. Now, that reinforcement might have been integral to SSG's defense for a late C4 from below, a rotate from the drop-down and workshop. But it's not going to be available anymore because EUnited has opened up that wall, and they will have someone staring into Lounge, likely for the remainder of this round. This is going to be a difficult hold for SSG. The likelihood of them denying plant is pretty low. The only way they're going to be able to really do that is by C4ing from cache to default spot.
This is the match on the line as well. There are no draws, so if SSG wins this, it's a 2-0 in their favor, and quite a fast one. If you're just tuning in, it was a 7-4 in favor of SSG on EUnited's map. So, a 7-3? Well, it's not really any better, but as we said, it is SSG's map. Plant going down by call out, he's perfectly protected. There's a run from Canadian, he looks to spray through, he gets gunned down, caught in the crossfire by EUnited, and they'll be able to get out of there with another diffuser down. That's 3 of the last 4 rounds where EUnited's objective play has been tip-top. 35 seconds and you can never count out SSG. You know that they're going to be poised to strike back, but the problem for them is that EUnited are lined up very well to hold every single angle. But oh no, Rampy on the flank, he takes down 2 members of EUnited. Grixer will be there waiting. Who's going to win that gunfight? This could be it for everybody. Fultz takes down one another, and it's just Grixer now completely prone. He's sitting on a Claymore. He pops up, and he somehow wins the fight, turns towards the bandit, who falls off. There's not enough time to defuse. Excellent job from EUnited. It doesn't matter if Grixer gets the kill or not. The clock is past the point of no return. Fultz knows it. And unfortunate stutters by SSG for their fans in the final seconds. EUnited managed to get off a very brazen play and then watch as the clock works in their favor for their 4th round on Clubhouse.
And we wrap right back around to the conversation of EUnited presenting an impressive performance in this match, no matter how you shake it up. This is a really great job by them. And while they are getting these rounds just barely, they are still getting these rounds against SSG, no less. That was a well-played, well-timed peek from Grixer to hold on to that diffuser, deny the disable, and hold out the round, despite the fact that SSG put up a really great performance in the retake in that post-plant. Winning your gunfights is all well and good, but you don't see SSG not clear out the entirety of the vicinity of the diffuser before trying to disable very often. In this case, we will see that, and because of that, EUnited will take the round. Now, there's a couple other things to keep in mind there. Now, you mentioned it yourself, Parker. The utility play from EUnited has been tip-top. They've been really good with managing C4s from the enemy, their smokes and their bolts, and then also getting that diffuser down. That's what I think really was accentuated in that round by EUnited, the placement of the Capital bolts, fire and smoke. Further, the plant location. It understood exactly what SSG planned to do. SSG was trying to deny plant with C4s into default. But because of the smokes, EUnited was allowed to plant in an odd spot and circumvent the setup that SSG had for denial. It was a very dangerous setup for SSG. It didn't work out because of EUnited's awareness, and you really got to commend them for that.
So we go to Gym Master, once again, match point for SSG. There is overtime here, so there could be quite a number of rounds still left to play. We could have 5 more to go. We could have Coastline on the docket too. The one thing working in their favor is not just are SSG very comfortable on this map, but they're on defense on Clubhouse, which is where you usually want to be, though EUnited proved that it wasn't actually the most comfortable spot for them. EUnited's take is going to be over towards construction, and it actually looks like, for the most part, they're going to bypass cache entirely. Rampy played there last time we saw Space Station on this bomb site, and he looks to be in a similar spot, though he's playing more aggressively inside of CCTV with Thinking Nade down below. EUnited, using both their exothermic charges, have now opened up that construction wall from the exterior as well as jacuzzi wall. So their push in towards the bomb sites are going to be a lot easier. And they've got not just map control, but great line of sight to be able to possibly get SSG members who peek too aggressively. It's a flash dance party inside of logistics, and Grixer will gun down Canadian. He's got a lot of control, another Candela in his hand. He'll toss it on out after priming for just a second. There goes a C4 in front of Grixer, but no damage done. This is the entry that you want from EUnited if they're going to take the round. Alfama downed. SSG looking to try and claw back, and it's Rampy on the sibling rivalry of Ella taking out Zofia. Rampy has not been removed from cache just yet, so if EUnited do try to take the site, somebody better be on flank watch.
You could see the hesitation here building for EUnited. They got some aggressive early pick, and then they just slowed it down, realizing they had a good amount of control and didn't need to rush it. Thinking Nate's still on the main stairs, he's going to be integral to this round, but Callout shuts him down. That's also important as the Candelas start to get thrown into the bomb site. Bosco gets Grixer, though, and Callout with his second frag in this round. The entry into the bathroom working out great for EUnited. They have Fuel's Rampy on the roam, who will pick up his own second kill onto Forest. Now with controlled workshop, a lot of pressure on the shotgun of Fultz, and he lands the shots. SSG take the map and the series. It was a nice fight from EUnited, but Space Station are implacable.
Absolutely extraordinary play from various members of Space Station. You have to give them an awful lot of credit, but I will say that despite it being SSG's map, man, I was actually impressed with the way that EUnited held up today. I know that they finished second last in North American Pro League Season 11. I know that they brought on Neepy to try and help this team, but honestly, their confidence was on point. You saw much better performances by Forest, by Callout than we were expecting. I think this team are definitely looking sharper. The question is going to be, how do they do against other teams that aren't the best team in all of Rainbow Six right now? Because it's a hell of a thing to come in and immediately have to go up against SSG. This is the team that won North America last season. This is the team that won the World Championship. They haven't lost a best of 3 since the Allied Esports Minor, 7 months ago? It's been an incredible run from Space Station, and it's going to take a formidable foe to knock them off. No team across the globe has been able to do that since we saw them play in Split, Croatia for the Allied Esports Minor. I got to tip my hand to EUnited. It definitely isn't the result that they wanted, but they beat my expectations.
Well, a great debut series for the US division and an excellent match. That's it for us.